welcome you as round 22 continues. The final round of home and away matches, an important one here at Optus Oval. We say good afternoon to you wherever you may be viewing. Hope you can stay with us throughout the afternoon for the big clash between the Western Bulldogs and Port Power, two sides that are going to be featuring in this year's finals. Of course, the round got underway last night at the MCG, should we say, in somewhat fiery circumstances. This tiny little blaze was very quick to grow from the left-hand corner of the scoreboard. It was quite extraordinary, and it took some 25 minutes for emergency services people and firemen to bring the blaze under control. There is considerable damage to the scoreboard itself. In fact, the damage has been estimated at $1 million. However, the good news is it looks as though that the scoreboard could be repaired in time for finals action next week. But I tell you what, it had people in the Ponsford stand last night scurrying. Let's hope we have none of that today. It's a cool, overcast day, but we're looking forward to a fine afternoon's football. We'll have a look at the ladder and you can see where these two sides are as they prepare for the finals. The Western Bulldogs safely in the top four. Port's position, of course, can change. This will depend, one, on how they fare today, two, on how Sydney fares tomorrow, and three, their own percentage.
The 1999 AFL Coca-Cola Premiership season proudly brought to you by Telstra, making life easier. The McDonald's Footy Burger, the double quarter pounder with cheese. Foster's Light Ice for extreme refreshment. And the new Mitsubishi Magna 3.5, the next generation.
Someone who watched last night's blaze from the comfort of his lounge room in his Melbourne mansion was the former champ Kevin Bartlett. Could you believe it, KB?
No, I'll tell you what, I once played out at Arden Street when the hot dog stand caught on fire, and I was in the forward pocket and the ladder came up over the top of Arden Street with Simon poking his head over. Not quite certain whether the hot dogs were still hot even, but they put that out. But I was just checking the scoreboard here, Sandy. It's in good nick, so we've got nothing to worry about out at Optus Oval.
And we've had some 50 millimetres of rain here in Melbourne in the last 48 hours. What's the ground here at Optus like? For more on that, here's Dipper.
Thanks very much, Sandy. Well, I find myself in the middle here at Optus Oval. Now, considering the rain that we've had, the centre is not too bad. Now, the ground is being rolled at the moment, and I'm just going to do the old key test. So let's just see how firm the ground is. And we enter the key in, and that's, still very, very firm, as you can see. There's just on top, the layer is obviously quite wet and quite muddy. That's why the rollers have been out here. Because last week the Western Bulldogs did complain how hard the middle is, but I think the boys can handle this middle. Back to you, buddy.
Yes, thank you, Dip. Actually, that looks much better than the MCG last night that was very muddy. The Dogs out on the ground. This is the side we're going to look at first. We'll have a look at their lineup now. And there's some news coming out of Bulldog territory because two big names are late withdrawals, KB.
Yes, Sandy, Scotty Wine and Garlick, of course, out of the Western Bulldogs side. Garlick last week was an exceptional player. He kicked 4 goals against the West Coast Eagles. And Scotty Wine today was going to be one of their big guns, of course, in the ruck. But Dimartino's had a terrific season. He came back last week. He'd been out for 2 weeks. Yes, he had a hamstring. He came back and absolutely started. And there he is on screen. Very important player to the Western Bulldogs. Unfortunately for Dimartino, he's missed their last 2 finals campaigns, so he's really keen to impress. And they rushed him back last week and he delivered the goods. Chris Grant also against the West Coast Eagles was in exquisite form. He took an amazing mark, kicked a great goal, and as he hits his best form leading to the finals, he is going to be an enormous plus for the Western Bulldogs.
Well, it's a big test for Port Power too, because I mean, they're probably going to have to meet the Dogs somewhere along the line come finals time, and psychologically this game is vital for them this afternoon. But they too have been hit in the big man department.
Well, Barnaby French is out for Port Adelaide. That means Chalmers comes into the side. We can all recall Mark Williams the first time they met in the opening round, round 7 it was, where he said his players were gutless because the Bulldogs completely creamed them after half-time. So Chalmers comes in. That means Brendan Lade will have to carry a lot of the ruck duels, of course, for Port Adelaide. Nick Stevens is one young player last year, you might remember. He was runner-up to Byron Pickett in the Norwich Rising Star, and he's a young player who's really hit his straps after a slow season. He had a lot of injuries. He's a person who's going to come in and play very, very well. There's Brendan Lade. A big job for him today. He'll be up against Luke Darcy. He'll have a great bearing on the game. He's been a very good player for the Port Power, and you can see him having a chat there just at the moment with Josh Franco. And Nick Stevens, of course, I mentioned him before, is a very fine young player. You might remember also, Sandy, there he is on screen, in fact, like standing alongside Brendan Lade, but he got tagged after 3 or 4 games last year. He's a great finisher. I'm looking forward to this game. I think this will be an absolute ripper.
Yeah, I think you might be right, KB, as Shea Cockatoo Collins just practice his goal kicking. We'll take a break, then be back with all the action.
I've done, all I am. You're always the one who said that I can. All I've done, all I am. You're always the one who said that I can. You're the one.
Hello?
Tonight,
Anybody there?
murder,
This thing is destroying my work!
Who am I meant to tell?
a trail of terror and destruction.
Not so long ago, they used to ban people like you.
The hunting down of a psychopathic killer.
No!
With Roy Marsden and Susanna York in the thrilling P.D. James mystery, Devices and Desires. Tonight, 8:30 on Ovation.
Frank Farmer to see Miss Mara. Henry Ford. My name's Edison.
He's paid to never let her out of his sight.
There's one person who always gets hit.
Never let down his guard. And never fall in love.
You want to come here with me, just to be safe?
Starring Kevin Costner.
Press it and I'll know you need me.
And Whitney Houston.
I will do whatever you say.
Would you lay down your life for love?
Welcome back to Optus Oval. The Bulldogs have farewelled their interchange players and they're getting ready. They have won the toss and are kicking to the left. Nicky Winmar, a special day for him because this is game number 250. He becomes the first Aboriginal player to achieve that feat. And it is a very, very fine achievement. 30 goals he's kicked so far this season. This, of course, his new club after having spent time initially in the old days at South Fremantle, then came across to St Kilda. Now finishing out his playing career here at the Western Bulldogs. Nice to welcome a man who witnessed firsthand the fire last night at the MCG, and he's set to blaze away today. Ian Robertson, welcome, Robbo.
Well, as usual, Sandy, I'm looking forward to the football. I think it's going to be a terrific match here. I heard Kevin say that these two teams are pretty well matched, and I think Port Adelaide have got some chance of toppling the Western Bulldogs, and I hope it's a very, very interesting game.
And also joining us, we've already heard from him out in the middle there. Now he's on the sidelines. He's our boundary rider extraordinaire. Dipper, welcome, mate.
Yeah, thanks very much, boys. Just to keep you up to date. Very firm ground, slight breeze, and a misty rain starting to fall now, Sandy. But the benches for Port Adelaide will start with Chalmers, obviously replacing French, Nathan Eagleton, Lockwood Daniels, and for Western Bulldogs, Brown, Powell, Alvey and Contessa.
Okay, thanks, Dipper. So it's a big job for Brendan Lade, initially going to be up against Luke Darcy. It's Kingsley who gets the first kick away, up towards the half-lord line for the power. It's Montgomery defending, pushing the ball along. Southern there is there to help him, and he's away. The advantage is paid, but no, now it'll come back because there really was no advantage. Back it comes to Montgomery. Got the free kick in the back pocket. Just on that breeze, Dipper, who is it favouring? You've got the Dogs kicking to the left of screen as Croft comes away. Dipper's pondering that. And
the breeze is coming across the ground, favouring the end of the Bulldogs. Sorry, boys.
Favouring the Bulldogs. Okay, I think it's important that we do establish that. Bond. So it's going to be interesting to see what that breeze and the rain. It looks as though we're going to get a bit today. Curley slaps it wide to the outer side, and it is taken over the line. Determination there shown by Jose Romero.
Now, Sandy,
with him is Jared Schofield.
Sandy, my earpiece is back in my ear now. The breeze is coming across the ground, favouring the Bulldogs in. About 2-goal breeze there.
Okay, favouring the Bulldogs and about 2 goals. And the weather, as I mentioned, it looks as though we're going to get a few showers today, expecting a top of 14 degrees.
Franco to Dew. Snapshot by Stuart Dew is off to the right and scores a behind.
And poor old Stewie, he has started the way the much of his season has been, because Port are one of the most inaccurate sides in the competition, and without wishing to put the moz on Stewie, he's come into this game having kicked 23 goals and 33 behinds. He started off with a behind.
Well, thanks, Sandy. The kick-in is taken by Rowan Smith. Back to Curley. Curley goes very wide. He had no one really to deliver the ball to. Alice, contest between he and Michael Wilson. And the ball goes over for a boundary throw-in.
And it's very interesting to see that Darren Mead, he's been the man who's been prioritised for Chris Grant. Also, Paxman's playing on James Cook, and Gavin Wanganeen on the dangerous Collingwood, just playing his second game for the season.
Bode not able to get his kick away. Danny Southern, he's reasonably well tackled there and locked up, so the umpire can do nothing but bounce. Danny Southern there with Adam Kingsley. So the umpire to bounce the ball, and Luke Darcy, who's been quite fantastic for the Bulldogs, got the ball down. Johnson kicked it forward in the direction of Grant. Grant and Mead, the ball spills over, and it will be thrown in left half forward flank for the Western Bulldogs.
And it's always interesting to know who Liberatore's picking up, and today is Josh Franco, number 10 for Port Adelaide.
Yes, and very interesting just then as well, we see Brown on the bench there along with Contessa. Just interesting to see that the fact Liberatore is picking up Josh Franco, but Adam Kingsley then just ran past Libba and made certain he crashed into him, just to let him know that if he wants to tag one of his teammates, there'll be a bit of physical pressure as well.
KB, what did you think of the comments by Jason Dunstall that he believed that the Bulldogs couldn't go all the way this year?
No, I disagree. I think they can. I think they're in there with a chance. It's with Essendon and North Melbourne and the Brisbane. I think they're the 4 best sides, and it's the side on the day, obviously, but they've got they win it. Look, they've only lost 2.5 games since round 6, so they're doing something right.
And they're clearing now through Johnson. He gives it away to Curley, who looks up towards the half-forward line. Fabian Francis at the back for the power. He's one of football's nomads, and he's heading towards the line, but he's taken out of it in no uncertain fashion and taken out beautifully by Collier. It's going to finish over the line. No, a little soccer comes back to Fabian Francis. He gives it to Wanganeen, low to the ground, and a wobbly old right foot punt kick goes back towards the middle. Winmar is there with Nick Stevens. Stevens has been in sensational form, and we'll have a bounce.
What about the way the players kept the ball inside the boundary line, Kevin?
It was great stuff squeezed up on the boundary line. I've spoken to several players, and I was surprised, Robbo, they tell me that Port Adelaide a very physical side to play against.
Interesting.
At half forward, Lade, Darcy, been a free kick founder, picked out of that.
They had a tradition, Sandy, the Port Adelaide side in the South Australian Football League has always been tremendous competitors, didn't they? No matter what ability they had in any side on any given day, they always made it difficult for the opposition.
And I think, to quote KB, the old Port Adelaide, very, very tough unit as well. But this is Danny Southern. Southern, between half-back and centre wing, brings it back towards centre wing now. Dimartina's got Hudson loose, and he uses him. Hudson's off. Centering ball in towards half-forward. He'd be disappointed with that direction. Going to be chopped off by Michael Wilson.
Won a Norwich Rising Star award, Michael Wilson. Kicked by Fabian Francis towards the wing. Croft. Cockatoo Collins with left knee very heavily strapped, and
he's been in good form, Robbo. Obviously last week kicking 4 goals.
Well, obviously concerned with something in that area. Oh, big leap. Terrific leap provided there by Wilson. Gathered by Dimartina. Kick at the feet of Hudson. Johnson to Liberatore. Liberatore's left foot kick. Bit of a mongrel punt kick. Bounces awkwardly at half forward. Gathered very nicely by Darren Mead. Gets it away to Lyle. He's well tackled by Grant. Ball spills. Hudson goes for goal and misses. You would have mopped that up, wouldn't you, normally? Paul Hudson, you would have marked it down for a goal.
Well, he is a great finisher, Paul Hudson. He's one of the best finishers in the competition. He's kicked 44 goals, 22 this year. Chris Grant, it was a great tackle, and last week against the West Coast Eagles, Chris Grant returned to his very best form, which was very good signs for the Western Bulldogs.
Hey guys, keep an eye on Brad Johnson and Nick Stevens.
Yes.
They're certainly having a go at each other, and they're playing on each other, so a good contest coming up.
That's been happening to a couple of players around the ground. Obviously, Port Adelaide pretty keen to take it up to the Bulldogs as well.
Francis to Wanganeen. No one ahead, so he heads for the boundary line, and that's cleverly done. He's gained probably 55 metres, but it over the head of Winmar and out of his reach. We've got to throw in on the outer side.
It's a big game for Nicky Winmar. Last week he had a very poor game against the West Coast Eagles, hardly touched the ball. 250th game today, the first one by an Aboriginal player. So quite a lot of emotion for him.
Certainly wouldn't require any further motivation than that, KB. Here he is now, hugging the boundary line to Chris Grant. Play on, and the ball trickles over the line. You mentioned Cockatoo Collins with that strap knee. Well, it was only a fortnight ago. In fact, it was against Melbourne that he went down with what appeared to be a very, very serious knee injury. and was stretched from the ground, and lo and behold, a quarter later he's jogging around and was okay. Darcy tumbles a punt down towards Kolyanov. Can't take it cleanly. Cook there with him. Kolyanov burrows in once again, but there are a few there, and we'll have a baller.
Well, it's good to see Steve Kolyanov back in the side. He missed virtually all the year. He came in last week after beating 7 goals in the reserves. There he is on screen, number 2. He's a very dangerous player when he's fully fit.
Yes, no doubt about that. Mead slaps it towards Wilson. Back to Bond. Will he keep it in play? Oh, that was a ripping good tackle. Here is Kolyanov. Back it comes. That was a ripping tackle.
Shane Bond just a little overzealous there, I thought, in his attempt. You don't get past too many tackles in AFL football today, and that really was a punt that he took on the last line of defence, giving Hudson the chance to kick a goal.
Well, he missed the one we thought he probably would get just a few minutes ago. He's on a very tight angle here. Let's see what he can do. He is a renowned goal kicker. 44-22 for the season. And he's approaching a major milestone in the goal-kicking department, that being 400. Well, that's not going to add to it at the minute. Some 396. Why do we wrap them up, Robbo?
That's it. Laid short kick has been marked by Bode. I've been very impressed with this young fella since he came into the team. He's done very well. Back to Laid. Laid kicks it across the half-back line. Paxman and Grant. Grant plays the percentages and forces a boundary throw in. About 85, 90 metres around from the Bulldogs' goal. They've scored a behind each.
He's been a great success story, hasn't he, Stephen Paxman?
My word.
Picked up from Fitzroy, only played a handful of games in there last year, and has been doing the job now for Port Adelaide at fullback.
Umpires found a free kick out of the ruck contest. It'll go to Darcy. Gee, I saw a chap that might go very close to winning the Brownlow last night, Matthew Allen.
I agree.
The Blues got 24 free kicks last night, Sandy, and he got 6 of them.
Yeah.
It's a very important point. He's noticed by the umpires.
Last night, in fact, and again he put in a superb performance.
Good mark taken by Francis across that full back line. Gets it away to Brewer. Brewer's kick is very good. Out in front of and advantaging Stuart Dew, but his hand pass fell short. Johnson, very clever. Handball down the line. Montgomery, equally as skillful, gets the ball now towards full forward. James Cook goes crashing into Grant. Back there is Bond for Port Adelaide. Bond goes short, and effectively he finds Bode. His kick. Oh dear, did that set up Wanganeen or what? Johnson has cleaned him up. He's a tough fella. He's been reported by the look of that.
I don't think so. I don't think he's been reported.
He's taken his number.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that's a report. That's not a report.
Well, it is according to the umpire, so he's got to go in front of the tribunal. And all of a sudden, you see Wanganeen on his feet.
We saw Stephen Lawrence.
Nothing wrong with him.
We saw Stephen Lawrence do something similar a couple of weeks ago, last week, in fact. And I suggested then that charge would be withdrawn, and I dare say this one will be too. That was a split-second contact. He kept his arms down. A free kick maybe, because he copped a little bit in the head, but there was no elbow up, and certainly nothing vicious in it.
Wanganeen has the, well, he'd taken the mark. Certainly it was a free kick, and he got a 50-metre penalty to boot. He has found Bond wide at half forward.
Bond also goes short. Well, he caught Mead unawares. Winmar should be able to clear from the back pocket. Kick partly smothered. Of it comes to Brewer. Wow, cockatoo Collins. Back to Bode. Bode goes with the left foot, kicking towards goal and hits the woodwork. Big opportunity there for Matthew Bode.
Sandy with Bode, Load and Mead. Bode, Laid, Mead. Are we going to have some fun here today or what?
We'll have some fun anyway. Oh, here's Rowan Smith. Steaming out of defence to Hudson. Almost down to right half forward. Kolyanov breaks for him. Now the lead is on, and there he is. A real little terrier. He's 70 metres from home. He's been called to play on. Chip short finds Paul Dimartina. Dimartina wants to go as well. He gets underneath that one. Pulling it in towards Grant. There's another big flyer there in Darcy. Couldn't take it. Mead sees it over the line.
Got his hands on that Darcy, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Consummate backman, that man on screen there, Darren Mead. He doesn't win a lot of the ball, but reminds me a little bit of Mick Martin. He just does enough to make certain his opponent has little impact on the game.
Probably not. Oh, here's Franco giving it away to Bond, to James. Nicely done by Roger James as he comes wide towards centre wing. Perhaps not quite as animated as Mick when a free kick goes against him. Would that be fair to say?
Is there anyone as animated as Mick when he gets a free kick?
No, even when it's a blatant free kick, Mick likes to remonstrate with the umpire. He just cannot believe that a free kick can be given against him. He's magnificent, isn't he?
Yeah, one of the great characters. Boundary umpire throws it in just forward of centre wing. Darcy interfered with there. But play goes on, and the football at half forward, Cockatoo Collins gathers, little hand pass, and Bode kicks it to the goal square, but it's marked back there by Ellis. Ellis runs away from full-back. Hand passes wider still, Montgomery, his kick, very wide, and Hudson couldn't take the mark. Francis, no interference according to the umpire. Kick down the ground, taken by Crediuk. Handball, Montgomery's provided good running support, and that short pass is effective onto the chest of Grant. Grant into the pocket, Colin-Uke, he couldn't take the mark. Stevens tries to knock it clear, close to the boundary line. James Cook looking for the free kick, and he's going to get it.
How can he get that, Kevin?
Well, you would have to say
that... He had no control of the ball whatsoever then, James.
He's in underneath there, 1, 2, doesn't try to clear the pack from the far side, Paxman.
Well, you see, the rule says if you go to ground on purpose, you must knock the ball out as you go to ground. If you get knocked and you go to ground, then you're given an opportunity. But if you elect to fall on the ball, you must knock it out instantaneously, and that's why he's been pinged. That's the rule.
He looked as though he had a chance, didn't he?
That's the rule. He did.
The far side, but
we see a lot of players pretending to knock the ball out, but the umpires are instructed if you go to ground, it's got to be the one action.
Well, James Cook from very much the same area of the ground as to Paul Hudson's shot at goal. Paul Hudson made a meal of it. James Cook not that much better. He scores, but just a behind.
As I mentioned before, boys, the Blues are certainly playing havoc for the Bulldogs. They've really got to aim for that right-hand point post, because the Blues are certainly coming across the ground.
Fabian Francis. Time at Melbourne, time at Brisbane.
Well, there's no Scotty
Port
Wine
Adelaide
today and no Barnaby French, but so far the clearances from the ruck contest, 4 to Port Adelaide and 0 to the Bulldogs.
Good kick by Francis. Darcy, an effective spoiler at the back. Waiting down in front, Hudson, Darcy, Liberatore. He loves these. Rowan Smith loves to kick a goal like that. And that's no exception. Finally, the ice is broken. Rowan Smith, who's booted 30 goals for the season, coming into today's game, has the first for the day.
And has struggled for form in recent weeks. He was well down last week as well. That was good play by Luke Darcy. Caught behind, went the punch. Therefore, Hudson in front of the pack, able to, with those quick hands, get it across to Rowan Smith. And that's what the Bulldogs do very well. They'll get in front of the pack and they'll have plenty of players coming from behind.
He's got that September stare at the moment.
Gee, I think, Dipper, the time for giving those right-fisted salutes to the crowd are on grand final day. When you're finished in front, you can do whatever you like. But the last round of the home and home, you've still got 4 weeks to go. And I think Rowan Smith can control himself. It was a terrific goal.
He's very pumped up. That's what I'm saying. That's a September stare. Look, his season hasn't been quite as good as last year. And just coming to the finals, he is such an important part of the Bulldogs' makeup, isn't he?
Most definitely, but I still think there's you can wait till that last day. Darcy gets the left hand to it. Liberatore maybe could have nearly gone round onto his right, but decided to give the hand pass. It's been blocked up ever so slightly. Now Winmar back to Rowan Smith. He's run down. Oh, was that a ferocious attack on the player by Mark Harwood? Gave away the free kick. Winmar eventually to Croft. Croft, very athletically done for a big fellow. Johnson to half forward, mark is taken by Schofield.
To 3 Port Adelaide players there. Romero was sandwiched amongst them, had no chance. This is Kingsley.
He's got the big duel too of picking up Scotty West. Kingsley
inside to Wanganeen. Certainly seems to have recovered since that knock. Cockatoo Collins taken out of it. Stewie Hughes, a left footer, smothered and taken by Winmar, wide of Southern. Danny's away to Brett Montgomery, one of the high flyers of the competition. Not really a day for him today. He wobbles one back towards the half-back line. Michael Wilson should have taken it but didn't. The door opens for Scotty West. His first touch. Off he goes to Jose Romero. Romero kicks up towards right half forward. Grant is at the back. The Dogs are starting to warm up. He kicks a short one in towards half forward. It's only got to sit for Hudson. Cleverly done. Back towards Darcy. Can he get back there again? He tried, but he can't. Franco and co, including Bond, will try and get it out. Look at that tackle. Fantastic as one arm was pinned. Play's allowed to go on, and it will be Lyle who'll come away. That was great work by the Port defence. Crediuk chops it off here, gives it back to Montgomery. Sweeping hand pass is going to be okay. Here's Demartina. He's away. Onto the left foot and up towards half forward. Stevens backing. Couldn't take the mark. They came over the top of him. Southern says, take me on. He goes, and he goes back towards Johnson. Johnson is caught. He wants to go back to Southern. Now, is that fiddling about with it, Robbo? What do you think?
No left side, Danny Southern. No left side to his body there.
I'll tell you what was great was the desperation by Port Adelaide in the across the half-back and across centre wing, the chasing and the tackling, the ferocity that they had a crack at the Western Bulldogs. Very good signs, because the Bulldogs are good in that area.
Pretty good umpiring too, Kevin, to let it go. I thought in that passage of play, Braden Lyle kicks the ball towards half forward, and Croft couldn't take the mark. Eventually knocked it clear. Gathered again by Montgomery. In towards half-back. Smith has got the ball. Loves to direct play. This is no exception. Beautiful kick. It's gone 55 metres. Johnson into the pocket, and Kolonyuk is marked. What happened there, Sandy? Missed that.
No, just pointed.
Sorry. Okay. Yep.
Getting a bit excited, Robbo.
I thought might have been something off the ball there, but Kolonyuk.
We've seen a couple of kicks now from the same angle that Stephen Kolonyuk is going from. We see Curley there getting crashed by his teammate. They found it difficult to kick goals from there.
See, that's a good kick.
To goal. A goal kicked by Stephen Kolonyuk, and the Bulldogs have got their second on the scoreboard. They lead by 2 goals.
Well, that's his first goal for the season. It's been pretty tough. That shows you why he's such a good player. He's a goal kicker, and this is this wonderful kick coming from Rowan Smith. Such a penetrating kick. The ball moves very fast through the air, sets it up to his partner in crime there in Johnson, and Kolonyuk. We've seen a couple of players already miss from that side of the ground. Finished it off.
12-point margin, and Dipper had the feeling that that's probably what this breeze is worth at the moment. So the Power wouldn't want to let the Dogs get any further ahead. West picks up his second possession, tumbles a puck down towards the 50. 3 Port Power players there. Wanganeen is low to the ground. He goes wide to the outer side. Paxman takes the mark. And he'd be disappointed with that. Of course, the Power have to do it today without Treadray, who's still on the comeback trail and has been now for a number of weeks.
And the Power made a change. Lockwood now are playing full forward.
I think that's a good move
James
because
off.
he gives them marking power.
And you take Treadray actually out of this lineup, KB, and it leaves a gaping hole up in that forward line.
It does. I'm glad to see Bowen Lockwood has gone to the forward line, because he's a fine young player. He's had an interrupted season, of course, but we saw a couple of years ago when he first made his debut. He's a very, very strong mark.
Sure. There's Luke Darcy, son of Dave. Appeared to be edged out, but was told to play on. Bode does, and he gives it away to Braden Lyle. He's a prolific possession winner. Lyle kicks down towards centre wing. Almost a good grab by Cockatoo Collins. He's had his head almost taken off too on that outer side. Now he's got the free kick.
Made the decision for the umpire too. Gone out of bounds by the look of it.
He is a bit of a prankster, Shay.
And still, Lockwood's 1 out with about 3 or 4 Bulldog players around him at the moment.
Darcy won it, surged it back towards centre wing. That tackle looked to be high. Dimartina comes in over the top. Kingsley in from the side. Lyle and Winmar there as well, and we've got another ball up.
Well, the Bulldogs, of course, have got a loose man in defence, which certainly helps out their back line. Doesn't do much for Port Adelaide.
Under 6 minutes remaining in this first quarter.
Did you ever think that that was a good ploy when you were coaching, or were there only certain circumstances when there was a howling breeze blowing, maybe?
Well, it depends upon whether the loose man in defence can set it up, and if they win the ball, then of course you can run the ball out and keep control of it.
Dew tumbles it down towards half forward. Wanganeen goes again with the left foot. That's a good-looking kick in towards full forward, and what a mark!
And there's the loose man, Craig Ellis.
That's him.
That's sensational play by Craig Ellis. Off he goes to Rowan Smith. Another one to Crediel, and the Dogs are on their way from the back line up towards centre wing and half forward. Dimatina and co, and they want to go. Dimmer does to Johnson. Has to prop a little and go back onto the right boot. Back to Dimatina. It came from Southern. Smack bang in the middle of the ground. Now puts them inside 50. Pack of 3 fly. Lade is the big man waiting down, doing the roving work. He gives it off to Stuart Dew. Dew's got Lyle, and now the Power go into attack.
Lyle's kick towards half forward. Ellis came down and just knocked the ball clear. Now Port Adelaide trying to keep it alive. It's Brewer. His tackle is maybe a little high on Jose Ramiro, and the Bulldogs midfielder, Tagger, will take the free kick. He gets it quickly onto Rowan Smith. Rowan Smith's kick, pinpoint accuracy, found Darcy. Not much pressure on the kicker there in Smith. And in turn, Darcy has found Kolonyuk. Kolonyuk has coughed the ball up. Straight to the opposition in Franco. They may go down the ground here, Port Adelaide. Paxman is on the end of a chain of hand passes. Mead was in the middle of it all, and that's been kicked straight to the opposition. But Cockatoo, Collins and Brewer. In turn, Schofield, Wanganeen, shot for goal by Gavin Wanganeen, off to the right. Scores just behind.
Chalmers has now come on for the Port Power, and Mark Harwood's off. Looks like Mark Harwood's got a hamstring injury. I'll keep up to date with it.
Kick in by Croft to the far side, taken by Montgomery, running just outside his defensive 50. Kicks the ball in the direction of and finds Winmar. Liberatore has kept Franco out of that contest beautifully. Umpire sees that all fair and above board, and the short kick by Winmar has found Darcy.
Still in the middle of the ground. 11 points the margin, favouring the Dogs. Darcy's a left footer, and he's kicked it straight to another left footer, but he's wearing the wrong Guernsey. Stuart Dew. But what's he got up forward? Absolutely nothing. Off he goes, Bode. He knows he's got nothing, but he's very disappointed with that.
Well, it was a silly kick in the end. He could have kept running for a start, and he could have even come back and got around Dimatima. He could have come back on his left foot because he's a left footer.
Or gone in.
Or he could have kicked the ball into the ground and allowed it to bounce along the ground 25, 30 metres, because the umpires allow that.
Rowan Smith just giving a couple of little signals there, then kicking long towards Chris Grant. He sets himself at front spot. Kolyanook waiting down. Mead comes over the top. He was the initial effective spoiler. Bond got one high. Scotty West, some nice elusive work. His hand pass not quite long enough, but look at Grant. Dodging and weaving, twisting and turning. Wilson, however, will get the Power out of trouble to Lyle. It's not pretty at the moment, but it's fairly desperate. Darcy in front.
It's a good effort. Brewer had a terrific run at him.
It's a very much improved player, isn't he, Luke Darcy?
My word.
Off to Rowan Smith.
How's
Smith
that kick?
puts them inside 50. It's a pretty good one, but Paxman is there to spoil. Look out, Josh, you're in trouble. Here's Liberatore. This is dangerous. Out in front of Montgomery. Wanganeen's got to get in. He can't. Gives away a little ground. Crediel. He's 55 metres out. Doesn't try and kick a goal. He wants Chris Grant from the back. Mead was in front. Pushed down towards Bond. Gives it off to Lyle. Gee, it's tough there for the defence. Who's going to crack first? Stewie Dew. A little sandwich chip finds Gavin Wanganeen.
Two very good defenders in Stephen Paxman and Darren Mead.
Eagleton on now for Port Power and Bode off.
Well, they've been forced to hold the ball up because there wasn't anyone really to kick to. So now Paxman at least can have a look down the ground. It's a congestion, a roundabout centre wing at which this ball will land. No mark, punch to the front of the pack. Eagleton gets his left foot to it, despite the efforts of Steve Crediel. Back goes Brewer. Brewer from Schofield. Handball over the top. They've got a chance here. Wilson, little hand pass, not too bad. Running into all sorts of strife for Port Adelaide is Lockwood, and he's going to be penalised, is he? No, the umpire will bounce about 40 metres out from the Port Adelaide goal. Yet to kick a goal, Port Adelaide. The Bulldogs 2-2 lead Port Adelaide 3 behinds.
Just a minute remaining, Robbo. Brewer does the ruck work. Kingsley leaves it for Lockwood. Here's a chance onto the left foot. Not what he had in mind. The young man who went over to Port from Geelong College.
What a tough first quarter this has been between the two half-back lines.
Yeah.
Both sides have got the ball down to the half-back lines, but being repelled all the time. There's been some wonderful chasing and tackling. Great smothering. We can see Curley coming off the ground here, and coming on is Nathan Brown. But it's really been a contest. A lot of one-on-one contests, and we really see that in today's football.
Schofield, the hand pass was okay. A real battle of defences. I don't think we're going to see 18 or 20 goals scored by one side here this afternoon.
Well, we just saw Kingsley on screen. He's picking up Scotty West for the Western Bulldogs. You've got Stevens being picked up by Johnson, Franco by Liberatore, and Jose Ramiro picking up Schofield. So there's a lot of matchups. There's Schofield on screen. He'll come off with the blood rule.
As Dipper said, Chalmers on the ground doing the ruck work.
Kevin, did you watch much of the footy last night? Stephen Silvani accidentally stepped on the back of Scotty Turner.
No, I didn't see that.
And it was quite obvious a very large
Yes, I'm sorry, I
mark on
did.
his back.
You could see the blood through. With the sprint and the jumper.
At no stage was he asked to leave the ground, so obviously umpires couldn't pick it up, maybe, or because they're quick to pick up the little scratches.
Why wouldn't have a Carlton player? It was Turner's rip jumper, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't have a Carlton player said, "Have a look at his back. Look at the blood."
Well, we find that's what happens today, where players will point out to the umpire, look at the blood on a shin or on an elbow. Cockatoo Collins also off the ground. Blood rule.
It's Roger James wearing 38. Just 40 seconds remaining in this first quarter.
10 free kicks to the Western Bulldogs, 3 to Port Adelaide.
2-goal breeze to the Dogs, and that's the advantage they have just about at the moment. The windbar hand pass, Rowan Smith is in all sorts of bother, and umpire Darren Goldsby.
We've got two players at Port Adelaide, obviously, with the blood rule, and also young Harwood has a hamstring injury, so we won't expect him to be back on the ground.
Rowan Smith is a goal kicker. The other one is Steve Kolyanook. DiMartino tries to get through some heavy traffic, but his hand pass dropped short to Wanganeen. Darcy threw strongly, almost was able to hold it up. Speaking of being held up, Nick Stevens he's going nowhere. And he won't have to worry because it's siren time, but there's a bit of feeling there. Have a look at those two little terriers. Jose Ramiro and Nick Stevens.
Well, he's got the job, of course. Nick Stevens being picked up early in the game with Johnson, and we saw Nick Stevens and also Liver. We've seen quite a few of the players in the one-on-one matchups actually making certain that they can make contact with opposition players as well. Gavin Wanganeen there just got a slight knock towards the end of that first quarter. But at quarter time, the Western Bulldogs 2-2-14, leading the Port Adelaide side.
This is Trinidad, September 19. Book now. Call 1300 300 666.
Sure, it'll come. Lade and Darcy, the two big men in the middle. No French, no wine today. So here we go. Second quarter's underway. Lade gets a hand to it. Kingsley down towards half forward. Cockatoo Collins. Good mark. Strong. Still a long way from home. It's kicking from 65 metres. And now it comes somewhat laterally to Michael Wilson. No one on the mark, and he's a left footer. So away he goes, long, in towards full forward. Oh, big mark at the back. That's a beauty by Chalmers, who came into this side for Barnaby French. And Chalmers has an excellent opportunity of posting the powers first.
Well, that's certainly what they need on their forward line. They've restructured a bit with Barn Lockwood there as well, along with Chalmers, give a bit of marking power. And that's exactly what he's got to do, Brett Chalmers. Got to take some big marks and convert.
First kick, first possession. Chalmers for a goal for the power, and he's got it.
Well, he's had a checkered career, really, Brett Chalmers. He was first of all drafted to Richmond. I was coach at the time, and then, of course, he got drafted by Collingwood. Then he was suspended out of the game, and there was fines because Collingwood was supposed to have, mucked around and fiddled around with the draft. And then, of course, he went to the Crows and now to Port Adelaide. He's always had ability. I suppose he's never really put it all together to really get the best out of his ability, but on his day, he can be a good player.
Well, Brown already warming the bench in the early seconds of the second term. So the umpire to restart play. Darcy, his kick has been smothered off the boot. Kick forward by Schofield, gathered here by Rowan Smith. Goes out very wide, sets it up for Johnson. Johnson running away from Michael Wilson. Kicks into the forward pocket region, gathered by Bond. Pressure applied by Kolonyuk. Umpire gives the all clear for a boundary throw-in. And I tell you what, there'd be a few Bulldog fans down in that area where that decision was made by the umpire. And I don't think they were too happy with the fact that the Bullies didn't get a free kick for Shane Bond taking it deliberately over the boundary line. Knocked forward and gathered by Franco. Wanganeen to Wilson. Wilson wider still. Now the chances with Lade. Lade's kick nearly taken by Brewer. Not able to control it. Spills over for a throw-in just forward of centre wing, favouring Port Adelaide. They've kicked the first goal of the second term, and they did it pretty well too. If you've got a big strong bloke like Brett Chalmers down there, get it down to him where it's one out against his opponent, or maybe 2 on 2, and he will give you a chance to take the mark. Darcy in front, gets a right hand to it. Kingsley grabbed by Scotty West, looking for the free kick. West over the top, in goes Franco, and have a guess who's on the bottom, and nearly came up with a footy. That little pest, Tony Liberatore. He's in the middle of the action, and he'll drive someone absolutely berserk during the afternoon, I'm sure.
Well, he's playing on Josh Franco, who's had 1 kick and 6 handballs, and Tony Liberatore has had 1 kick and 2 handballs.
See, West and Kingsley having a good old duel too. Here's Wilson. Thought he might swing round onto the left foot, but gives it to Mead, who will chip short to Stevens. He's heading towards centre wing now. Francis sees him clear. Oh, that's dangerous. He wanted Kingsley, but Darcy far too much height. Maybe should have gone for distance. Now it could be a costly turnover because Grant's got it in the middle in the mud, and he goes wide to the outer side, and he's got the captain, Cook. 70 metres from home, James Cook.
One of the more colourful Western Bulldogs players.
No doubt about that, Robbo. Montgomery takes the mark.
It seemed to me that when Nick Stevens came around centre wing then, Sandy, what worried him was when he looked up, all he could see was Craig Ellis standing inside 50. So he went for a silly short kick which didn't come off.
And we've got a behind going on the board there for the Dogs. 2 goals, 3. There's 1-3. Montgomery loves to fly. So here's Fabian Francis to himself, and then away to the outer side. Gets a bit of distance now. Montgomery's lurking here. Got a hand to it in front. Franco's in all sorts of trouble. You're gone, John. It was just a great tackle, wasn't it? Chris Grant plays on and goes wide. Cook, he's an interesting player. Grant again, spearing it down into the forward line. Darcy, he's onto the left foot. That's what he wants. To full forward. Winmar lurking in front. Here's an opportunity for the 250 gamer. He's kicked a goal. Well done, Nicky. Memorable day for Nicky Winmar, the first Aboriginal to notch 250 games, and he's kicked his first goal for the day.
Well, I thought that Stewie Dew could have done a bit better here. Let's have a look, because I thought he was going to mow him down here. Stewie Dew from behind. We see Luke Darcy drops this one in. It's an awkward one. We see Francis over his head. Then this is it here. And I just thought Stewie Dew should have done a lot better there in the tackle on Nicky Winmar.
Still a player with a lot of class, though, isn't he, Nicky Winmar?
Well, the guess was coming off, KB. Dewey's off the ground and straight onto the phone.
And his place has been taken by Matthew Bode back into the fray, and the Bulldogs go forward once again. Oh, terrific effort by Grant. Going down onto his knees, he was still strong enough to hold his position in the marking contest, and then went short and found West.
Mark Williams asked his players to get back and help in this back line, and so far the Bulldog players are able to find a lot of space. Great mark there by Chris Grant.
He is just, I mean, from the day he walked in as a 17 or 16-year-old, he's just built himself up beautifully to be one of a really strong key forwards in the caper over, well, you could go back as far as you like. I think Grant could rate himself with some of the greats of the game. But this is Scotty West going for goal. A disappointing kick, but Winmar's taken the mark in front of Braden Lyle.
You can see Scotty West then struggling because he's been out with a groin injury, and I just reckon he can't kick over about 20 to 30 metres.
That's a fair point, because that was a very, very ordinary kick. It only went about 30 metres, and there was no penetration, no nothing in it. But we could see what Nicky Winmar is confronted with. And as I said before, he's a very skillful player. And he's kicked a goal. Good kick. Second goal to Winmar. And the Bulldogs open up a bit of a gap, 4-3 to 1-3.
2 goals to Nicky, playing his 250th game today. He was coming off an ordinary game last week against the West Coast. He did boot 4 goals against Tigers the week before that. But 250 games experience, playing in front, being able to finish off, that's what makes him a dangerous player. So in his milestone game, Nicky Winmar doing very, very well.
This is the biggest lead we've had in this game. 18 points the margin. Schofield having a chat with Darren Goldspink. The big men to do battle once more. Lade and Darcy. Ellis uses the body, but it's Wilson who comes away. Up towards half forward. The Power certainly need one here to stay with them. Might come back as far as Wilson. It does. To Cockatoo Collins. Good pick up on the half volley. Back to Wilson again. He's in the right spot for a left footer. Centering now into full forward. Johnson was coming in from the side. West's waiting down in front. He just flicks it out. Look out, Brett Montgomery, you're in trouble. And he's lost it. Taken over the line was Kingsley in no uncertain fashion, and will throw it in. And look at that tackle. You know who it was, the little liver.
Yes, he's a magnificent tackler. And for 2 or 3 seasons, he was the leading tackler in the AFL.
Look at that.
And when you consider he's about 5'2", it's an amazing effort.
I don't think that family would have a pet dog, would they? Just that liver running around outside. Fantastic. In towards full forward again. Kingsley tried to chop it off. Liberatore couldn't take it cleanly. Crediuk loses it. West tucked against the boundary line. Got to give a little ground. Gives it away. Shea Cockatoo Collins came in late on Ellis. Play on is the call. Lade soccers off the ground. The race is on. Lade and Darcy. Fabian Francis comes in to help Lade. He's not out of it yet. Darcy still going. Well done by Darcy in the end. Hudson's hand pass, a little proppy for Grant. He's caught. That was a great tackle too. Could have almost been pinged. Francis goes again. Puts it out in front of Wilson. And Michael Wilson steadies. Sneaks away from Kolyanook and pumps it high. Up towards half forward. Only to see it chopped off by Rowan Smith.
Oh, this is a bit too cocky to Winmar. Chipping in was James.
Oh, no, it's coming back.
Oh, they were lucky there. They were very, very lucky, because Winmar, he looked as though he was alone at half-back, but the Port Adelaide side nearly took possession. Yeah, they've got a chance here now. Curley, Montgomery inside his forward 50 will go in and shoot for goal, and Montgomery will miss. Oh! It's a behind. Grant not able to control the mark. So, first score for Brett Montgomery.
Very good chasing by Shea Cockatoo Collins then too.
Dimotena coming off, Pal.
So that kick just wasn't able to take it to its full advantage. So it was good play by Cockatoo Collins.
Braden Lyle comes in towards Wanganeen at half-back.
10 possessions to Wanganeen.
Certainly been busy as he goes to the outer side towards Paxman. Johnson's pretty sharp. He's run out of room. Just keeps it in play for the moment. Look at Jono. Homegrown boy from the West, and he loves this game. Hasn't missed a game this year, the boy from Williamstown. Lade just flicks it over. Well, it's going to be a huge test, isn't it, for Port? Next week, first week of the finals, as we have a look at the Bulldogs bench.
Paul DiMartino sitting on the bench there, along with Contessa and Alvey, Nathan Brown.
Terry Wallace on the phone. And it is going to be very interesting to see how Port respond. I'm sure they'll do their club proud. Franco to the outer side. Kingsley plays on towards centre wing. Braden Lyle, prolific possession winner. Already picked up 10 today. He's almost down to centre wing. Look at the fierce tackle applied on that occasion by Steve Powell.
They just haven't been able to do enough with their loose man further down the field, Port Adelaide. Craig Ellis, of course, loose man in defence for the Bulldogs, but they just haven't been able to use the ball to set someone up by themselves, have a shot at goal. They still seem to be just banging the ball in, and then, of course, they've got the numbers against them.
Rowan Smith around the body. Difficult one to grab. They have to sit and wait for it. Lyle had it, but only for a moment. The Hudson hand pass. Okay to Powell. Powell gets a hurried kick onto the left foot down towards the half-forward line. There's a couple of them here. Montgomery sets into half-forward and finds Hudson. He's got options too. He wants to get on with it. He goes from 48 metres. Johnson sees it sail past him and skid over the line from behind.
And James Cook's looking at Hutto, so why don't you pass it to me? And find himself there right in front of goal.
Well, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Paul Hudson, I'm sure he would have fancied himself.
In fact, he could have kicked that goal. He just sort of rushed it. He was in two minds. He was going to kick it, then he wasn't going to kick it. Sort of kicked it off half a step.
Paxman accepted the kick in and then went across the goal at which he's defending and found Lyle. Lyle into the centre. Important little touch here. Gathered by Mead. Away to Kingsley. Kingsley across the half-forward line. That's a little better. That build-up through the middle of the ground gave them the chance to find a couple of players with a bit of space, and they did something with the ball, and it has resulted in a shot at goal to Brett Chalmers.
Well, he's already kicked a goal in this quarter. He's kicked 5 goals for the season, Brett Chalmers. Playing his 15th game, so he's not really a noted goal kicker, but he just might do the job today.
He shouldn't have any trouble getting the distance, kicking from about 40 metres, goes for goal, and he's put it through. So 2 goals to Chalmers, 2 goals to Port.
Well, he's down there to do the job, because Barnaby French pulled out of the side before the game, and Chalmers came into the side. He's gone up forward, and he's giving them now a focal point. And that was better play, because instead of just bombing the ball in with 3 against 2, this time they were able to set it up through Mead to Kingsley, and with a little bit of space, Chalmers was able to have some room to move in. And we all know he's a beautiful kick.
Eagleson now picking up Nicky Winmar on the wing here.
2 goals to Brett Chalmers for Port Adelaide. 2 goals to Nicky Winmar for the Bulldogs. Kingsley. Centre clearance. Schofield emphasises just that fact. Crediuk tackled, well tackled by Harwood. Croft is tackled by Bowe. Still a struggle at half forward for Port Adelaide. James found a bit of space. Handball over the top, taken by Darcy, Powell, Johnson. Slick exchange by the Bulldogs. Liberatore kicks with that familiar left foot up towards half forward, nearly taken by Bond. Gathered by Mead, and with composure has got the ball out to Lade. Lade goes down the line, and the mark close to the ground taken by Wanganeen.
Kevin Wanganeen is on centre wing, comes into Paxman in the middle. Halfway through this second quarter, now Wilson sneaks away from Winmar and does it fairly easily in the end. Great opportunity for Eagleton. Let's go a bomb, and it's a beauty. What a kick. Nathan Eagleton has got his first.
Well, Wilson's been a handy player. He's had 13 possessions, and 8 of those possessions have come in this quarter. I thought the handball, in fact, from Wilson wasn't a really good one because it didn't enable Eagleton to actually keep running in. You can see there it was slightly behind him, so he had to come back on his left foot. A little bit more carry on the ball, he would have been able to just turn around and go straight into goals. But it's great to see that boy come back after his hard operation.
It's a good coaching move, isn't it, when you put a play on like that and all of a sudden he does something for you?
Well, a couple of goals and the Power have closed the gap. It's back to just 8 points after at one stage going out to 18. Lade has a free kick in the middle and they'll go forward again.
Misty rain starting to fall again, boys.
Thanks, Dipper. Lade off the side of the boot slightly. Kicks down towards the 50. They'll see it over the line. We've got a throw-in. Lockwood and Bode, the two chasing.
13 free kicks in the first quarter, 10 to the Bulldogs, 3 to Port Adelaide. This quarter, just the 3, 2 to the Western Bulldogs, 1 to the Power.
Darcy lost it. West.
Wealth of information at Kevin Bartlett, isn't he?
Reminds me a lot of the late Julius Sumner Miller.
Alvey about to come
Why
on
is
for the
it
Dogs.
so?
Sorry, Dip.
Alvey is about to come on for the Dogs for the first run this year.
Thank you, yep. Just his third game. There he is. Scotty West. Brown. Pettiel. Back to Brown. Sneaks away to Rowan Smith at halfback. They're out of trouble now. Johnson breaks on the far side. And he's a goer. 53 metres out. Pokes it up in the air into the left forward pocket. Over the back it goes, and we've got a throw.
Who did the chasing on Johnson there, Kev? Did you see? Was that James?
It was James, and I was just about to make the point. This is one thing they do well. Even though Johnson is quick and then he cut back inboard again, he still had to get his kick under pressure.
Yep.
And this is what Port Adelaide have been doing very well today.
Darcy and Lade. Winmar. Snapped by Nicky. He's already got a couple. Goes across the face. We've got to throw it in the right forward pocket. Winmar's booted 2 in this quarter for the Dogs. Chalmers has booted 2 in this quarter for the Power. Eagleton also has 1. 11 points was the margin at quarter time. At the moment, it is 8. Bombed, taken off it. Fabian Francis working hard. Had a couple of attempts to try and get rid of it. An interesting hand pass finishes with Franco. Josh's kick wobbles back towards the half-back line. Montgomery, here's danger. Brown takes it from Liberatore, and Brown answers with a goal. Nathan Brown gets his 18th goal of the season. The Dogs steady to get their 5-5, plays 3-3.
That's one of his strengths. He's a beautiful kick, a wonderful finisher. Montgomery there with the quick hands, and Libber, of course, always likes to be the playmaker and set him up. And he couldn't have given it to a better kick because he's got that raking left boot. Started on the interchange bench. He has kicked 7 goals in a game this year against Geelong early in the season. He is a very good finisher.
So Mark Williams, and that's Matthew Primus in the background.
Greg Phillips.
Greg Phillips, who came across and played a bit of football with Collingwood. Bulldogs, a chance to get clear of the centre again. Brown to Liberatore. Well, that was the favour that Libber did him just a few seconds ago. In goes West. Just drops the ball in front of himself. Schofield, but the hand pass is all right. Liberatore out wide. Brown might be on the end of this as well. Handball down the line. Taken here by Alvey. Only been on the ground a matter of a minute or two. In towards half forward. And Hudson is marked right in front of goal. And Hudson will go for goal. And he gets another one for the Bulldogs. Too easy. Very much a training drill coming out of the middle of the ground, and some unselfish play by all Bulldogs players here.
Well, they run very hard from behind the kicker, and we see there 3 players making ground. Copping a hard one there from Wilson was Brown, and we see here, this is where he's so dangerous, Paul Hudson. He's a wonderful finisher, plays in front, might have been trying to pop this up for Nicky, had a bit of carry on the ball. Got the result they wanted.
Hudson gets his 397th career goal. The Dogs at the moment have the answers. Romero to Brown. To West. Starting to pick up possessions now. He had a quiet start. Wanganeen takes him on and he beats him. Coming back through the middle. They need to reply now, the power. He finds James. Almost down to half forward. Roger James. Long and low. I think his target might have been Eagleton. Fraction too high for him. Montgomery. To the outer side. Lade's a chance, but Johnson might beat both of them. He slips at the crucial stage. Caught one on the head from James, and we've got a throw in.
Kevin, do you ever think that the players are trying too hard to force the umpires to make decisions? Why in this circumstance has Brad Johnson got any right whatsoever to touch his head and indicate that maybe he should be getting a free kick?
Well, he wasn't tackled high. He actually hit his head on the ground when he slipped over the line, but he thought he was under pressure and a free kick was going to be paid against him, so he's tried a bit of gamesmanship, hasn't he? He's pointed to his head, cop one high. You wouldn't have done that, Robbo.
Luke Darcy's
playing for that wonderful side of yours, Carlton, one of the cleanest sides in the competition, the history of the game.
And nor would you, KB.
Franco.
I would.
I tried every moment I was out there.
Have they kept this in? Yes, James. Just inside the boundary line. Kicks to the front of the goals. No mark taken. Brown concedes a behind to Port Adelaide.
Amazing, you know, Robbo plays for a club, or played with a club that won a premiership because Tom Hafey said the ball was three stories high in the Great Southern Stand in those days when they knocked the ball back into play and they won a premiership.
Great Southern Stand?
Well, the Southern Stand.
No,
we've just added the great to it.
Which one was that? Harmsy?
Harmsy.
He was in front of the members' stand.
Not in front of the members.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Well, anyway, don't argue about it now. Because
you're welcome to be some historians watching this and they'll ring in, Sandy, and they'll tell us all about it. But that's one of the most famous things that have happened in footy, don't you reckon?
No doubt about it.
It was down at the Punt Road end.
Well, some may say...
No, it wasn't. It was in front of the members' stand.
Forward pocket down in front of the members' stand.
That's what I said, members' stand.
Exactly.
Some
I tell you what,
most infamous.
He spoke of our politicians earlier. He is the best. He sat on the fence beautifully then, Sandy, didn't he, KB?
Yes, I don't know. My Couchy's gone into politics if KB hasn't.
3 rows back in the members' stand, and you still claim the premiership.
Cockatoo Collins. Let's get back to the game. Tight angle. Look at that. He's still wanting options, and he's bent it round. Just didn't have the carry on it, and the Dogs swoop on it, conceding a behind.
Just a little sloppy, I thought there, Shea Cockatoo Collins.
Cooley coming off. Looks like he's limping here, boys, and Craig Ellis about to take his spot.
Smith will bring it back.
His history of injuries over a period of time has been well noted. Steve Prettiel. Collinuk's off too. So a double change made by the Bulldogs as Tontessa takes his place on the field.
Oh, and he's kicked that straight to Lockwood.
Can Lockwood kick this distance?
Well, he's still got to kick at 55 metres. It's still a good kick, isn't it?
He's got to aim right because this breeze has certainly picked up.
They're going to test him.
I'm sure we've seen him over in Adelaide kick very long goals.
Into the square, no doubt about that, but good mark taken on the last line for the Western Bulldogs by Matthew Croft, who relieves the pressure. Ellis runs into a brick wall. Grant edged out, and Mead has the ball. Darren Mead is 65 metres out. He too is too far out. Only kicked a couple of goals for the season. He'll give it to Michael Wilson. No one on the mark, so he can blast away on that left foot, and he does. A big bomb up to the front of the square. Where are the Rovers? Who's waiting down? Rowan Smith tumbles a punt, drops short, however, and Adam Kingsley is going to have a shot now directly in front, and he has an excellent opportunity of closing this gap. As the wind starts to whistle around the stands here at Optus Oval. Certainly has freshened up. What's it like down there, Dipper?
Fresh.
That's Port's 4th mark inside 50. The Bulldogs have taken 8.
It does get some protection, obviously, with the legend stand there, but it really is swirly.
Here's Kingsley, close to the man on the mark. But he has popped through a bar. Just going for that little bit of extra distance, I think. Taking it away to the left. 3 minutes left in the first half.
Todd Curley to kick it back for the Western Bulldogs.
Hook boys have got a cork thigh. His right leg is heavily bandaged and all iced up. So I don't expect to see him back today.
17 points the margin in favour of the Bulldogs. Curley well outside his defensive 50. Nearly gathered there by Adam Kingsley. Over the top was Eagleton. The Bulldogs player, Stephen Powell, looks a little angry about that situation, but the umpire will bounce. About 50 metres out from the Port Adelaide goal. Time ticking away in the second quarter. Port could do with a goal right on the long break. Scotty West to Powell. Tackle was quite ferocious by Kingsley. Ball spills out to Liberatore. Nearly run down by Eagleton. The kick into the middle. Chance here for Stevens. West for the Bulldogs. Oh, big chance here.
Look at this.
Bullies will go down the ground here, surely. Southern from Montgomery to Winmar. Couldn't take the mark.
Free kick.
Push out, was it?
A little bit high. Nicky Winmar just touching the side of the face.
Well, you said that it's been pretty close and...
just a slap across the face.
Was there much in that? Is that... I mean, you like that, don't you? It's a legitimate free kick because he hit him in the face.
Yes, that's a free kick. You're not allowed to hit an opponent in the face above the shoulders. It's a free kick. Simple rule. I know Carlton don't like it, but that's a rule that's in
Oh, you are a little...
Dog with a bone.
He is, isn't he? He gets on it and won't leave it alone. He used to barrack for the Bulldogs when he was a little boy.
Well, you played for him.
I did too. They were memorable ones. But here goes Winmar with a memorable kick, I'm sure. Nicky Winmar goes for goal, and he's kicked 3 in the first half. Well, that's a good effort by Winmar. 2 minutes left in the first half. He's had 13 possessions and kicked 3 out of the Bulldogs' 7 first half goals.
And we all like to see players when they're playing milestone games. This is milestone number 250, and he's kicked 3 goals. First Aboriginal player to play 250 games, so he's doing it in style. You didn't think it was hard enough?
Very, very ordinary free kick.
Was it?
Very ordinary.
Not hard enough?
We are playing contact football.
3 goals in the second quarter.
Worse things happened in the first half that weren't free kick.
Franco and Liberatore go at it in the middle.
Name one.
No, we'll concentrate on the game. Ellis gets it out towards Romero. Tumbles a puck.
Oh!
There's a big mark by Chris Grant. That could have Cambridge written all over it. In towards full forward he goes, plays on, and a timely defensive grab taken by Fabian Francis.
He was dumped as he kicked the ball. The Bulldog supporters screaming maybe for a kick down the ground.
James takes the relieving mark. Minute and a half remaining. Roger James looks towards Kingsley. He's on the outer wing and he's clear. Well, one bounce. Runs underneath the scoreboard, goes for another one. It's okay, it sits nicely for him. He runs a long way. He puts them inside 50. Montgomery was in front, couldn't take the mark. Gee, Danny Southern came through like the Southern Aurora. And coming in to take charge is umpire Scott McLaren. Let's have a look at this one again, KB.
Well, he took an absolute pearler last week. That one's over Nathan Eagleton. But he's had his work cut out today. He's had a tough duel. He's had 8 possessions and 4 marks playing on Darren Mead.
Lade beaten by Darcy. Wilson clears to Cockatoo Collins. Shea can steady now and swing it back in towards 50. Gee, that's an average kick. Johnson takes it from Grant and says, I'm heading for the line. There's no one down the ground. This is where I'm going.
Well, you can't always be a playmaker in this game. Sometimes you've just got to do what comes naturally, and that is to stand and kick the ball as far as you can into the goal square, put it into the hot spot. You can't make something out of nothing all the time. There's Nathan Eagleton, and we've got Alvey's just come off the bench. He looks a bit aggro as well.
Chalmers. Now here's an opportunity for Mead. Taking it from Wilson. He's just forward of the middle, that's better. Chalmers can have a shot. 50 metres out. This could well be the last kick of the first half, and Chalmers has already booted 2 in this quarter.
Well, we saw Bowen Lockwood have a shot from the other side of the ground. same distance. It dropped a bit short, 2 or 3 metres short. I think most of us think Chalmers is a bigger kick than Bowen Lockwood. So if anyone can kick it, he should get the distance. There's this man.
Kicking from 53 metres. Gee, it is a big kick. That is a very, very good kick. He's got his third for the quarter.
We've had a shootout between Nicky Winmar, who's booted 3 in this quarter as well. Great goal for Port Adelaide. They'll go in now at the main break. They'll be absolutely buoyed by that effort there by Chalmers.
Very even quarter 2, 5 goals to 4. In fact, the Port Power booted 4 goals 3 in that term, and the Western Bulldogs 5 goals 3. So a very even second quarter after the Bulldogs skipped away to an 11-point advantage at quarter time. As you said, KB, a shootout with Winmar booting 3 in that term for the Bulldogs and Chalmers booting 3 in that quarter for Port Power. Other goal kickers are Kolyanook, Smith, Hudson and Brown for the Bulldogs, and all of Port's goals scored in that term, 3 to Chalmers and 1 to Nathan Eagleton. So at half-time, the Bulldogs are 7-5. Port
during half-time was that it was pretty uninteresting and needs to lift. The standard needs to lift a bit in the second half.
Well, let's see what we can do. Here we go. It's Darcy up against Lade. The latter up a little early. Romero's kick partly smothered. Lade flicks it over the back. Eagleton twisting and turning. He won't get. I reckon that's Libber that's got him. He won't get away. It is. It's almost like being handcuffed. Straight jacket. Fierce tackler.
Bank of England stuff.
That's it, yes. Never open, never closed. An interesting comment, that. James around the body, up towards the half-forward line. Ellis hurriedly gets boot to ball. It passes Dimatina, comes back towards James again. He hits for the boundary line. Throw in on the outer side, 17 points. The margin at half-time, it was 11 at quarter-time. The Dogs now going with this breeze, but it's a swirly old breeze. It's not easy. Lade cleverly out the back. Romero. Hand passes swept wide. Wanganeen to Kingsley. Just chipping it around at the moment on that outer side. Lade again. Towards half forward, Southern and Chalmers. Dimatina tripped over himself in the end. Not before he got it to Montgomery, who tucks it round the body, goes up towards centre wing. Romero in front to Liberatore. Kicks in towards the centre, an untidy start. Wanganeen chops it off, does it beautifully to Paxman. Here's a chance for the Power. They go down towards the 50. Overrunning it was Lockwood. He may get a chance to go again. He does. Hurriedly onto the right boot. Bounces it in towards full forward. Where are the numbers? Here's an opportunity now for Eagleton. Standing there. He takes it from James and he kicks a goal. 2 goals to Eagleton. Nathan booted 1 in the second term. Just the start the Power wanted. And if they're watching down there at Billy Bell's at the moment, then South Melbourne, that'll fire them up. That's the home of the Power in Melbourne.
No better person to give the ball to than Nathan Eagleton, because he's a beautiful kick. And it's nice to see him make this comeback. I saw him collapse that day at Football Park. I think we're all very, very concerned about him, but he's had the operation on the heart. He's come back. And today he's booted 2 goals and 3 to Brett Chalmers. Still just the 2 goal kickers.
Kevin,
but we can see that that's where their strength has been, just with the 2 players. But they need a few extra players just to chip in.
Well, they're getting their share of the centre clearances, but on this occasion, Liberatore's hand pass has been chopped off by James. He's had a few important possessions in the early part of the third quarter. Chalmers could have nearly received a free kick. The free kicks are very, very lopsided in favour of the Bulldogs. Rowan Smith finds Luke Darcy. Luke Darcy down the ground, not a bad kick either. 40 metres onto the chest of Grant. Grant swings around onto the right, kicks in towards the opposite half-forward flank area where Hudson is marked.
Just on free kicks, Robbo. Western Bulldogs 14, Port Adelaide 4.
Well, to say that they're lopsided would be a bit of an understatement. But Hudson has the football. He's kicked the goal in the second quarter. Kicked a couple of behinds in the first term. Going for goal number 2 and the Bulldogs 8th. long kick by Hudson, goes all the way. Good kick, it's a goal. So after starting with 2 behinds, Paul Hudson has kicked 2 goals to add to the 2 behinds, and the Bulldogs lead 8-5 to 5-6.
46 goals for the season, and that's why he was All-Australian last year, Paul Hudson, because he kicked over 60 goals, and that's what he's very good at. He's one of those innate goal kickers, one of those players that whenever he gets the ball, he can finish off, and that's why he's such an important player to the Western Bulldogs. Makes the most of his opportunities.
Two goals to Hudson. 398 in his career. Can he get to 400 this afternoon? Darcy somehow got boot the ball off to Rowan Smith. He lets go with a talk. Winmar's at the back and he tries to get through some very heavy traffic. Powell picks it up, snaps high, he's away to the right. Needs a kind bounce, but he doesn't get it. And we've got a throw in the right forward pocket.
Sandy, I'll keep you up to date with the benches. Port Adelaide, we've got Shane Buer, Harwood, Bode and Dew. And for Bulldogs, Colin Yook, Cook, Critiuk, and also Contessa.
Thanks, Dip. All we need is Dragosevic, and he bit all sorts of strike.
Oh dear, he almost had it fit last night when he saw he was on the bench, didn't you, Dip? Here's Franco. Again, he comes away. Oh no. Straight onto the chest of Brown. He gives it away to Liberatore. He looks in towards full forward. And the mark, in fact, it was Scotty West who got it down, and now Brown has taken the mark. And that could result in a goal.
Well, it's a very good kick. We spoke before about Nathan Brown's skill. He did kick 7 goals against Geelong very, very early in the season, and Tony Liberatore finishing it off well. Liber's not a long penetrating kick, so he does try and lay the ball off, and he did it well to this man, having a shot for a goal.
Swinging away to the left. We're just having a look at the stats. Scotty West, who brought that ball in with Liberatore, had a quiet start, but he's now got 13 possessions. Rowan Smith's got 17. Luke Darcy, 13. Michael Wilson for the Powers got 16. This is Gavin Wanganeen, he's got 15.
Wanganeen just a little confused as to which side of the ground to go, decides to go to the far side. Big punch by Grant over the top. Forces a boundary throw in about 65, 70 metres around from the Bulldogs' goal. 8-6 to 5-6, 18 points the advantage. Bulldogs led by 11 at quarter time, and they led by 17 at half time. Alvey hooks the ball across his left shoulder, and he was nearly on the end of it, wasn't he, Nathan Brown? Second opportunity. Stevens from Bond over the top, Lyle. His hand pass was meant for James. Johnson away from Lyle. Johnson's hoof kick back to the goal square. It's been marked there by Mead, and he gives it away to Wanganeen. Wanganeen short, finds Paxman. Runs outside his defensive 50-metre, kicks the ball towards half forward. Contest provided by Chalmers. Southern over the top has infringed against the Port Adelaide half forward, Brett Chalmers, and he takes the free kick. Chalmers kicks the ball up towards half forward. Gathered there by Lockwood, couldn't break away. Johnson's kick smothered. James, still Lockwood. Lockwood into the pocket, and Cockatoo Collins does well. Body work was excellent away from Curley, and right in front of the George Harris stand here at Optus Oval. Shea Cockatoo Collins will shoot for goal.
Well, I thought he actually did better than well then, Robbo. That was a very, very good mark, because I've seen Todd Curley this year really outmuscle Tony Modra, and to just stand his ground and push and shove and then finally take the mark, I thought this was a really good effort by Cockatoo Collins.
Any chance of kicking a goal when you see the angle?
It's tight, isn't it? But he is a goal kicker.
He certainly is. So he goes in and kicks and hits the post. Absolutely stone centre. Shea Cockatoo Collins, his first score in this match, according to my ledger.
Yep.
And a poster.
Romero, tucked in the pocket, takes the kick in. Jose, back in business. Johnson, short little chip to Rowan Smith. Smith looks from half back across the middle. Penetrating pass is good to Darcy. He's in the centre, kicks to half forward. He'd be disappointed with that. Bode. Daniels. And it's Daniels who will clear to the outer side. He finds Mead. Interesting bounce. Comes to Paxman in the centre. Steve Paxman. To the outer side. Stevens. Nick Stevens is on the outer wing. Kicks long, pulling them inside 50. Big pack of players. Lockwood was there. Dimartino runs into and away from Shea Cockatoo Collins. Then pokes it back towards centre wing, and Darcy smashes it over the line.
The Bulldogs do it very well when the opposition take the ball into their forward line. They can flood their back line very well. They have a lot of players from behind the play get down, and they just sort of stand around, create a lot of numbers. Then they run very hard when they get the ball out of defence. But they do it well, the Bulldogs.
Darcy and Montgomery going with Lade on that occasion. And it looks like they'll have to do it all again.
So far, 13 possessions to Luke Darcy and 13 as well to Brendan Lade. So Scotty Wine out of the side and Barnaby French. These two have been at it all day. And at the moment, it's a draw.
Yeah, they both made a good fist of it. Montgomery ripped off the ball as he tried to get his kick away. Josh Franco is a real terrier. Boys like Libba and Co found at the bottom of the pack. And there's Brett Montgomery. 54 plays 37. The Power desperate for another one. This is Schofield putting them inside 50 towards Lockwood. He almost slipped, however, but he does have support. Braden Lyle can kick a goal, but he's well away to the right and just sneaking it in from behind.
One thing they haven't done today, Kevin, and boys upstairs, is crump at Port Adelaide, because they've had so many opportunities where the balls come down to resist defence of the Bulldogs. They keep punching the ball away. There's no one at the bottom of the packs today.
Look, it's a good point you make, Dipper. Of course, the Bulldogs man up pretty closely. There's Jose Ramiro. Does a lot of manning up. This man does as well, and so does Dimartino.
Oh, caught with the ball there, Scotty West, but
look at that.
Opportunity to get the ball clear to Montgomery. Montgomery approaches half forward, kicks in towards full forward, and Southern has marked on his chest, certainly within scoring range. He must have done a lot of running there, Danny Southern, to get all the way down at half forward and free out this opportunity.
Yet to kick a score this season, Danny Southern. This will be his first score for the year.
Could he get a little jittery on this then?
Well, any guy who's, I suppose, rode the Zambezi and climbed Mount Everest, and he's wrestled alligators and crocodiles.
Has a pet snake.
I don't think he'll get the jitters.
He's got a pet shark too.
Well, we'll watch as he goes for goal and kicks the goal. So the Bulldogs increase their advantage. 9-6-60 to 5-8-38. Margin 22 points in favour of the Western Bulldogs.
And Scotty West ran down then. I would have thought a free kick to Port Adelaide. Prior opportunity, not paid. Montgomery then kicked the ball deep into the forward line, and Danny Southern had the drop there with Francis, of course, some pushing and shoving along with Nicky Winmar. Finished it off.
Six plays 5-8, 22 points the margin. Danger time again for the Power. They need to stop something. Powell down towards the half forward line. Alvey was in front, but he couldn't take the mark. He will butter up and go again, but he's got to beat a couple, including Kingsley. Kingsley lost it, regains it, gives it off to Wilson. Wilson can chip up towards centre wing and James. Call to play on, and he does. He's got Schofield running past. No one coming at him at the moment, so he can bounce his way into half forward and chip to Franco. And Libba looks down the ground in despair.
Well, that's his man, and Libba, a little bit like Mick Martin. Doesn't like his opponent getting a kick.
Because he'd gone down, I think, to try and man up on someone else, so I guess it might have been Rowan Smith's man.
I think he was looking at Rowan Smith, actually.
He might have been, Kev.
Cruel, isn't it? Franco, a chance to kick his first goal for the day and his 10th for the season, and they certainly needed that one.
Well, they needed another goal kicker on the forward line that time. Josh Franco is first for the game. 3 to Brett Chalmers and 2 to Nathan Eagleton. They won't go away, Port Adelaide. They're just 16 points down. They trailed by 17 at half-time. So they just keep chipping away. They just need that extra goal just to lift the confidence that little bit more.
They can get the next one. Who knows what could happen?
Oh, it's starting to hot up, Sandy.
It is KB. I had a feeling this might happen. Here we go. 44 plays 60. Vital to see if Lade can get it out of the centre, but he goes way too early. Powell tries to sock it off the ground. He can't get clear. Darcy will have a crack with that left foot. Goes down towards the 50. The diving mark. What a catch by Grant.
Well, great work by Liberatoria then in the middle.
Chris Grant plays on straight away. Spears it in towards Winmar. Celebrating his 250th. Certainly celebrated in the second term when he booted 3 goals.
Don't you marvel at the athleticism of Chris Grant. Watch this.
That's a great mark.
In the second quarter, we saw him take maybe the mark of the day up over the top of, I think it was Nathan Eagleton, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then you see him at 6'4" get the ball down at ground level.
And here's Winmar now going for his 4th. Kicking from 45 metres. Coming back beautifully for Nicky Winmar. Elvis is king.
Well, obviously, Elvis hasn't left the building. He's still here.
Oh, you're kidding, you two fair dinkum.
He's still here at Optus Oval.
Oh, you are kidding.
4 goals to Nicky Winmar, celebrating his 250th game, and he kicked that beautifully because we've seen before, unless you aim towards that right-hand goalpost, it's going to go too far left. So that's one thing. Look, a fighter never loses his punch. A skillful player like Winmar never loses his touch and ability to kick the ball.
Well, I think that Nicky Winmar has proven that his season at the Bulldogs has been very much worthwhile, and something to finish it off would be to play in the finals and certainly have some success. Port Adelaide go forward through Cockatoo Collins. Southern didn't quite control the ball. Curley, Rowan Smith to run outside the half-back line and kicks very nicely in the finish. Montgomery, option was pretty good. Liberatore, short kick all right. Opportunity here for Alvey. Kick towards full forward by Alvey. In front, Winmar, nearly got it again. Hudson will kick the goal though. Paul Hudson, he's kicked 3. He is an absolute ripper, Hudson.
399 goals in AFL football. And Paul Hudson is a goal kicker. That's what makes him such a good player, makes him so dangerous. Alvey is playing his first game for the season.
Good kick to the danger spot, wasn't it?
And there, before we heard Dipper talk about Crummers at the front of the pack, and that's what Paul Hudson was, at the front of the pack, able to just feed off. And one thing he does better than anyone else.
So Brendan Lade up high, got his left hand to it, but the Bulldogs nearly the opportunity through Stephen Powell. But the umpire will have to do it all over again. 11-6 plays 6-8, so that'd be probably the biggest margin, I would think, between these two sides. 28 points in favour of the Bulldogs. And we've got 9 minutes left in the third quarter.
Centre clearances 5 to the Western Bulldogs, 1 to Port Adelaide in this third quarter.
Wilson going nowhere. Liberatore and Dimatina.
Cockatoo Collins now playing up near the middle now. I should come back to 4 line now. He's making a lie out of me.
Darcy somehow gets beat the ball. Forward. Oh, here's danger once again. Is that Alvey?
Certainly is.
Oh, what a kick! What a kick! And he's pumped. That was shades of KB. Back in 1980 when he was tearing the heart out of every other side in the competition.
Drove Stan Magro mad.
And look at the Bulldog teammates there just crowding around. Darcy did well then because he actually lost control of the ball, got his foot to it. Grant there was wrestling with Mead, and Alvey's just pumped this through, his first goal of the season.
Cheers, Mark Alvey pumped his first goal for the year. Well, it's only his first game for the year and his third in his career. But that might just help to open the floodgates if they're not careful. It's really pumped up the Dogs. Johnson's got them out of the centre. Dimmer's got plenty of space as he spears it in towards Grant. He could not take the mark. They play on now. Paxman's in a heap of trouble. Gets it out wide to Stevens. And Nick Stevens steadies as he goes to Schofield, almost down to the outer wing. 78 plays 44. Jared Schofield. Lade comes in from the side. Franco waiting down in front, gives it off to Kingsley. Spears out the hand pass. Opportunity for Bond to go in towards Eagleton, and he takes the mark. Eagleton is right on the boundary line, and he's 55 out. And some of those doggy spectators aren't happy. Look at that woman at the back there. She's got plenty to say. You wouldn't want to serve the roast cold to her, would you? I hate you being bothered. Eagleton into full forward, and Curley cuts across the pack with an effective fist. One behind the result.
Luke Darcy's been good at in the early part of his third quarter for the Bulldogs.
Had a good day, actually, hasn't he?
Yes, he and Brendan Lade have had a pretty good and interesting duel, Kevin, and I think Darcy 5 kicks to 1 so far in his third term. Daniels can't really, well, he gathers the ball, but not before the boundary line has loomed up. So 33 points, it's a big margin now. Interestingly, the umpires found 13 free kicks in the first quarter, 5 in the second quarter. They've only found 1 in the third quarter. Stuart Dew goes for goal. Tell you what, that's not a bad kick either, but just away with the breeze through for another behind to Port Adelaide. Second score in the game to Stuart Dew. Spent a bit of time on the bench in the first half. 12-6 play, 6-10. 6 3/4 minutes left. Bulldogs get the ball well out of the defensive 50. Montgomery to Liberatore on this occasion. Ill-directed. Daniels is marked in front of Chris Grant. Long hand pass. Mead forced to kick with the left and coughs it up. Danny Southern kicked the goal a few minutes ago. Todd Curley across the half-back line. Oh yes, it was set up, wasn't it? The kick just hanging in the air. Set up Brad Johnson. Cockatoo Collins over the top has taken a clean mark. Johnson indicating that the knee into his kidney area. The kick towards full forward. Chance here for Lockwood. Gets the hand pass away. Rowan Smith. Wider still. Scotty West. Just running into a little bit of form, which is pleasing for the Bulldogs. At the feet of Nathan Brown. Oh, he got past Bond, didn't he? Then delivered the hand pass a little high for Johnson. Hudson back to Johnson. Johnson across the half-forward line and with precision has found Grant. And if he wants to be unselfish, he's got Brown in the pocket. But it looks as though Chris Grant has made a decision and he will go back and shoot for the Bulldogs' 13th goal.
He hasn't had tremendous confidence in his kicking so far. He's kicked the 32 goals, 26 for the season, but he has laid off the ball a lot this year, and even against the West Coast Eagles, he kicked a couple of nice goals, but still continued to lay the ball off. So it'll be interesting to see how his confidence is going, Chris Grant, because at 17 years of age, he kicked 50 goals in AFL football, which made him the youngest player ever to kick 50 goals. So he should be able to kick goals.
Well, from 50 metres, gets magnificent distance. Don't worry about the accuracy. It's a goal to the Bulldogs.
Well, I'm certain Terry Wallace will be pleased to see him kicking that goal. That's his first goal today. Last week against West Coast, he was running into some very, very good form. And coming into the finals, Bond there made a mistake. Instead of playing the ball on its merits, he went for the man. Didn't keep his eyes on the ball. He actually went for the man. And of course, Brown's a very clever player, just sidestepped him and set it up. And then Johnson, who's had a very good game, finished it off with that magnificent kick to Chris Grant.
Chris Grant has become the 8th Bulldog goal kicker today, 13-6, plays 6'10". This lead is out to dangerous proportions now. Franco, Chalmers and Francis. Back it comes to
Liberatore's free kick.
Yeah,
because he's running down there to pick up a man in the Port Adelaide forward line. Well, had no idea that free kick was going to himself.
Oh, Fabian. He's allowed to play on. Grant has taken the mark. Down towards half forward and Brown. Almost the one-handed. Did he throw it out? It matters not as they play on and Darcy's kick.
The Bulldogs. Bulldogs have kicked 6 goals this quarter, 2 goals at Port Adelaide. Kingsley coming off also for Port Adelaide.
Any comment about the late contact there by Francis on Liberatore?
Look, I don't think he really made a great deal of contact at all. In fact, I think he pulled out of it. And therefore, I think Libba went to the ground hoping to get maybe up the field, but I don't think any real contact was made.
Paxman's kick comes back towards Francis and Liberatore. Eagleton's got him on this occasion. Eventually it's Chalmers who lets go with a long ball inside 50. It could have been a shove there. Not too much doubt about that. And I think Matthew Croft realised that, yes, he did do wrong on Bowen Lockwood.
I always smile when I see players arguing with the umpire when they give away an obvious free kick. Makes you wonder what's going through their mind.
Well, once upon a time, I guess, when there was one umpire, you might have had some chance of getting away with that, but the umpire was just adjacent beautifully. Could adjudicate quite easily.
Lockwood from 40 metres. And he has put through a much-needed goal for the Power. It's Bowen's first goal, and it is only the Power's third for the quarter.
Well, actually, in the context of the match, 3 goals to Port Adelaide is not bad compared to the first half. But on the other hand, their defence has conceded 6 to the opposition.
Yeah. 6 goals, 2, and that's going to leave Mark Williams and the coaching staff with a number of problems.
There's the hamstring, Warren Treadray, right in the background behind
left.
Greg Phillips.
Southern and Daniels.
I'd like him out there, I'm sure.
Jack Daniels and Southern Comfort. Back in the middle. Take it away, Robbo.
Brett Chalmers gets a big fist to it. Franco, he is just absolutely harangued there, and he's going to get a free kick given against him. It'll go to Ramiro. Well, that was interesting because the umpire obviously thought Josh Franco had prior opportunity to get rid of it. Ramiro running support. Elvey kicked a left foot goal. Tell you what, he's kicked a right foot goal. That is a magnificent kick by Mark Elvey.
Now he's pumping himself up.
Now, what is his natural side, Kevin? Have you got any idea?
It's his right foot, Robbo.
He is a right-footed kicker.
Yeah.
The tremendous running here. Look, Jose Ramiro got the ball out of the centre square. He kicked it to Libba, and then he sprinted, absolutely sprinted to get up there so Libba could then feed the ball back off to him. Gave it across to Elvey, who kicked that goal. So 2 goals, that young player playing his first game for the season. But what about the hard running of Jose Ramiro?
Sensational couple of goals to Alvey then. We're back in the middle with Brewer. Trying to get it out for the Power. He gives it to James, who looks towards half forward. Ellis, as Scotty West went down, but he's okay. This is Di Martino. Bounces way across the centre. Comes into the middle. He's got a couple of options. One of them is Luke Darcy. The tall, rangy left footer's got Rowan Smith wide.
Hasn't he grown in stature?
Oh, no question of that. But he spears a pass. That was a poor pass. Chopped off by Chalmers. James gives it back to Stevens.
No one
the Power out of trouble. Yeah, what's he got now? There's a lead on down towards the 50, and that's a good mark too.
Unless
good mark taken by Lockwood.
Unless this boy led from the goal square, look where he's got the ball, 50 metres. He had no one to kick to.
Goes short, finds Franco. No, that's been one of their problems, hasn't it?
Well, I think Dipper's comment earlier about Crummers has quite pertinent. Kevin picked up on that. And,
well, they've got Schofield out there, and Kingsley's gone off there, being some of their crummers. Nick Stevens has been a good crummer as well. Wanganeen, Lyle.
Franco for his second goes short, and it will be a gimme goal this time. Roger James has kicked his first. The boy originally from Norwood boots his 4th goal for the season.
Just to give you a bit of an update on crumming, Wanganeen had 13 possessions in the first half, 4 in this third quarter. Lyle 10, 2 in this third term. Wilson 16 in the first half, 1 in this third quarter, and Kingsley 10 in the first half and 3. So it gives you an idea, 49 to 10 in the first half to the third quarter.
Kevin, would you think about putting Wanganeen up the forward line in the last quarter? Because if Port want to win this game, they need those people around the goal square. And he's very tricky in front of the goals.
Well, we've seen that before, haven't we, with Wanganeen?
Chalmers, again, Montgomery spins out of trouble. Goes back to Rowan Smith. Brewer, well, he tried to stop West from taking the mark, but did not succeed. Johnson crumbing. Rowan Smith goes for a flying shot at goal. This is the goal of the day. It's a mark anyway, isn't it? It's either a goal or a mark.
Nathan Brown.
Well, Brown has kicked the goal. Well, that was spectacular football by the Western Bulldogs. And it resulted in a goal to Nathan Brown, their 15th.
Played a very good game, Brad Johnson. And his partner in crime usually is Rowan Smith. It's a big bomb. Looked like he was going to try and shepherd it through, but it dropped short. A very strong mark by Nathan Brown in front of Bond.
And Nathan Brown, 2 goals after spending a little bit of time on the bench. But he's a very, very classy footballer. Chalmers to Brewer. Brewer down the ground. Just slips off the side of his boot. And importantly for the Bulldogs, Ellis able to get a big fist to it. Cockatoo Collins, and then Ellis takes the ball over. About 85 metres around from the Port Adelaide goal. 97 plays 58. A minute and a half left in the third term. Big margin now, isn't it? 39 points in favour of the Bulldogs. Lade, punched forward by Brewer, gathered there by Ramiro, to Rowan Smith. Stevens couldn't quite take the mark. Collingwood sweating on it. They have got many, many options, the Western Bulldogs, up on that forward line. Hacked out of there by Paxman. Away goes Eagleton. Just a little misunderstanding there between he and Braden Lyle. Contessa onto it, like a true Bulldog. And he locks it up, and the umpire will bounce.
Adam Contessa, boy from Coburg, coming off the rookie list. Close to siren time. And the Dogs in control here at the moment. Smashed down towards centre wing, but again picked up by Johnson. 13 kicks and 8 hand passes. Been very busy. Paxman. Hand pass a little loose, but it's okay. It finds Michael Wilson. He looks towards centre wing. Roger James was waiting at the back, but he had this man Stevens in front. Gives it away to Schofield. A belated chance for the Power to score. Curley halts that attack.
See, when you're streaming forward like that, you should kick it better to the forwards.
Rowan Smith is on this side of the ground.
Played well today, Rowan Smith.
Waltzes around Lockwood. He gives it to Liberatore, who's got Hudson, who in turn has got players like Johnson and Kolyanook further down the ground. He uses Kolyanook. They run out of time. They run out of time as Johnson was set to streak away. So it is 3/4 time here at Optus Oval, and the Western Bulldogs, a very good quarter of football, in a commanding position. They booted some 8 goals in that term, and they have skipped away from Power, who themselves booted 4 goals for. Paul Hudson got a couple in that turn to take his tally to 3. Winmar has 4. At three-quarter time, the Dogs 15-7. Port at all. Contessa can't get out of the middle. He's ridden into the ground. And we'll have another ball up. 97 plays 58. There is Adam Contessa coming into this side because the Western Bulldogs started the day without Scott Wine and Simon Garlick, and Garlick has been very, very good for them this year. Contessa will have another crack at getting it out of the middle. Winmar tried to slap it forward. Scotty West did. If it sits for Winmar, he's in business. Short little chip. Well, not short enough. Alvin, he's kicked a couple of gems. Don't tell me he's going to do it again. This for number 3. Ah, Mark. Can't believe it. Off target.
Well, they've got some depth, the Bulldogs, because Elby came to the side replacing Simon Garlick, who's 4 goals last week against the West Coast Eagles. He was an outstanding forward. So young Elby is coming to the side for his first game. He's booted a couple of goals. Should have just kicked his 3rd goal. So they've got plenty of depth.
My word, it puts the pressure on, doesn't it? It's a good position for Terry Wallace to be in, KB. Finals starting next week. Charlie Cockatoo Collins gave it to Wilson. They have it now with Kingsley. He's on the outer wing. Back to Cockatoo Collins. At least that was the object of it. That's a legging on Schofield. Oops. And Jared Schofield wants to get on with it quickly. There it is, the replay. No question of that. Spearing it in towards the forward line. No mark taken. James to tidy up at the back. Flicks the hand pass over the top. May finish with Brewer. He then gives it to Schofield. Schofield bounces it in towards full forward. Socket away from Croft by Lockwood. Was it touched? Was it touched by Croft? No. Lockwood sockers off the ground. And Power fans have something to cheer about, as I'm sure they will at Billy Bell's in South Melbourne, home of the Power.
Well, I'm pleased to see Bowen Lockwood kick a couple of goals. He's got a lot of ability. It's just his 6th game for the season. He's had a lot of problems this year, but he is a boy of enormous talent, and you can see he's going to be a key position player one day. He's a very talented young man.
So important first goal of the last quarter to Port Adelaide, and they get back to within 34 points of the Bulldogs after trailing by 39 at three-quarter time. They go forward once again through Lade. The ball bounces awkwardly at half forward. Good tackle on Curley. Ball spills to Franco. Franco, this ball might bounce through at will for score. Just a behind to Port Adelaide. Kick by Josh Franco. 33 points the margin. Certainly important for Port Adelaide not to fall away in this last quarter. We're looking at Todd Curley, Steve Prediuk, who's injured, James Cook, who's warmed the bench since early in this match for the Bulldogs, as Scotty West. Handball over the top to Powell. Powell goes down towards the right half forward area where Montgomery is. Gathered the ball. Disciplined kick to the front of the goals, but it's been well marked back there for Port Adelaide by Wanganeen. Nick Stevens down the centre of the ground. Good option too. If the ball bounces kindly, it does in the finish for Schofield. Over the top to Daniels. Into to Kingsley. Could kick a goal. Kingsley goes for goal. And right on the line, it's marked by Matthew Croft, as it looked as though it was going through for a behind to Port Adelaide. His short pass has found Rowan Smith. He's been called to play on. He went towards this nearer side of the ground, then over the top found Liberatore. Gee, what a career Liberatore has had, eh? Morris medals, Gardner medals, Brownlow medal. And searching, I tell you what, that is a great mark, isn't it? Hovering over the top, marking on his chest, Chris Grant, and then goes short and finds Brown.
Trademark Brown, really, isn't it? This is Alvey. He chips to half forward. Johnson. Well, he'll put it down the throat of Montgomery, or he'll kick it himself. He'll kick it himself. Too easy for the Dogs on that occasion.
He's been very good today, Brad Johnson. 23 possessions, taken 5 marks. I think big bonus for the Bulldogs today has been the form of Rowan Smith, because Johnson and Smith combine so well together. When they're both on song, They really do make this Bulldog side hum, and that young boy Elvie also is making his mark.
I reckon this kick was meant for Montgomery.
Yeah. Brad Johnson becomes the 9th Bulldog goal kicker. 16-8, plays 9-11. Laid up early. Darcy. Oh, look at him. Fantastic agility to give it to Romero, off to Scotty West, who just about kick a goal. Now he'll give it to Steve Kolyanouk. Kolyanouk should score a goal, and he does.
Well, 2 goals to Stephen Kolyanouk. And of course, Port Power didn't touch the ball from the centre bounce. Taken away by Luke Darcy and just weaved his way out of trouble and set it up. And then they've got the runners. That was a terrific goal by the Western Bulldogs.
Tell you what, Jose Ramiro's upset about something here.
Have a look
he
at
might
this.
have got a smack in the mouth from someone.
So Darcy gets a pass his opponent.
Here,
To Jose, might have got one there. Cockatoo Collins. West feeds the ball off. Kolyanouk, of course, finishes for his second goal. Terrific football. They're going to be hard to beat.
Well, he's obviously just making Darren Goldspeak aware of what happened. And
Wanganeen down the middle, boys.
Wanganeen, thanks, Dipper. Luke Darcy again, an important centre clearance, overrunning it. Port Adelaide, but gathered beautifully by Kolyanouk. And what about the hand pass? A magnificent hand pass. Beautiful gather by Ramiro. And another goal within 7 seconds of the bounce. Oh, sorry, 8.
And this time, of course, it was reversed. Before it was Jose setting it up to Kolyanouk. There's Luke Darcy again outside the centre square. And Kolyanouk just swooped on it, pounced on it. And hard running from the centre square. Feature of the Bulldogs game. And a great finish.
Like lightning out of the middle. Let's see what happens this time as Lade prepares himself to try and stop this run. Those floodgates we talked about are threatening to open. Kingsley out of the middle, down to half-forward. Daniels couldn't take it cleanly. Montgomery defends as he sets up the hand pass away. Here go the Dogs again. This time it's Contessa up towards right half-forward. Johnson's been sensational. Bends one back to keep it in play. Bounces over the top to Grant. He takes on one. Can't beat him. Gives a hand pass away. Hudson. Oh, don't tell me he's kicked that. Do not tell me. One of the goals of the day.
Well, he's booted 4 now, Sandy.
And that is his 400th goal in his career.
Father and son, they've kicked the most goals in the history. And they'll be hard to beat, won't they, Peter and Paul?
Well, look, he's had his critics over the years, Paul Hudson, but he's been magnificent for the Western Bulldogs.
I agree.
Last year, he was honoured with All-Australian selection. He was regarded as the best goal-kicking small forward in the game.
Gee, we're seeing it being turned on now. We've waited a while.
Yeah, well, actually, it's not a bad time for the Bulldogs to show some form on the eve of the finals.
Here they go again, Robbo. Scotty West tries to win it out of the middle. Look for Liberatoria, but in the meantime, a free kick's been picked up. It'll come back to West. Well, your last goal took about 7 seconds. See what happens this time.
It'll take a little more than that, but gee, their is a 50
fine
metre
because they got 50. I think it could be under 7.
Do we count this?
No, the whistle sound.
And Shea Cockatoo, boys, have been taken off.
Now, what can Bulldogs do, Kevin, by winning by a big margin? Can they leapfrog anyone on the ladder?
Well, we'll have a check of that. We'll have a look at the ladder and we'll see what the prospects are.
Because I know it's late, it's the last game, but...
won't make any difference to them.
It won't.
No, they can't.
It won't. No, well, fair enough.
They'll do a lot for their confidence.
Oh, yeah, my word. They're playing champagne football now. Since half-time, they've added something like 13 goals. And Scotty West has kicked his first goal in the game and becomes one of the many, many players that have kicked goals for the Bulldogs today.
Even if the Brisbane Lions were to be beaten in their game today, the Lions have such a superior percentage over the Dogs. They couldn't possibly catch them. We're talking about 30% different. Starting to rain goals. Here at Optus, and it's all going one end at the moment. Look at Contessa and Liberatore and co. Ready to go. Off the ground, but gee, he'd be pretty happy. He's booted 4. They're going to have a resounding win. Here goes Kolyanook again. Overruns it, but he's got Brown there to assist him. He couldn't take it. It was chopped off well by Wanganeen. Give it to Brewer, who goes to the outer side. Just a little too far for Michael Wilson. And we've got a throw.
Luke Darcy has certainly had a big game. 22 possessions, taken 7 marks. 6 inside 50.
There he is, up against Lade. Darcy rising to the occasion today with no Scott Wine. The due hand pass is okay. Finishes with Wanganeen. Comes across the centre, goes down towards half forward. Southern got a bad bounce, but Ellis gives him good support. He's got Contessa wide. They're threatening again with Johnson breaking to the right. He's still 60 out. Pops it over the top. And doing it quite effortlessly. The mark is taken by Powell. Goes onto the left foot. He charges into goal with a wobbly mongrel putt. It matters not. The Grant hand pass partly smothered. Good look away from Cook. Albee snaps, but he rises with the fans, only to see it slam into the woodwork.
They've dominated the early part of this last quarter. 24 kicks to 11, 14 handballs apiece, 11 marks to 2, and 8 times inside 50 compared to 3.
Wanganeen having a spell.
Well, that's an unusual move. Wanganeen, did he look injured to you, Robbo?
Well, I guess Mark Williams must think that preserve him for next week.
Fair enough. Winmar setting himself. He's back out on the ground, but he, in the end, didn't even elect to go for it. Brewer's kick dropped short, and it's marked by Montgomery. He's at half-back. Winmar breaks for him. They close in on him now, and he's got to beat a couple. Can't do it. Bode's got a chance with Lyle. Bode says, I'll go all the way myself. And he kicks long up towards the half-forward line. Lockwood came a long way out. Couldn't take the mark. Montgomery's away. Around he'll go to Rowan Smith. They can set it up to Brown on the other side, and they can cruise the long way home up towards goal.
Darcy.
And he finds him, pops it off to Contessa. He's in trouble. Gives it away quickly to Powell. Onto the right boot he goes. In towards half forward. Inside 50. Watch out for Scotty West. Here he goes. Can't take it cleanly. Kolyanook is there as well. Written into the ground. Michael Wilson tries to get the hand pass away. West is still going. The dual best and fairest. Gets it out smartly now. An opportunity for Winmar. 55 metres. Centering kick. A high ball. Not very pretty. Hard one to mark. Powell tried to do it from behind. Had to get over Chalmers. Stevens defends, and Port come away for the moment out of trouble.
Yes, Nick Stevens' short kick has found Schofield. Handball over the top. Stevens has run in support. Back wider still to Schofield. You can see the indecision. There's just obviously no one to kick to when the boys get the ball for Port Adelaide around the middle of the ground. And now they're going to be penalised, are they? No, it's going the other way. It's going against the Bulldogs and will be taken for Port Adelaide by Jared Schofield.
Now, that was a bit of a tough one because he didn't go to ground on his own volition there, Elvie.
Matthew Bode with the ball, goes short, finds Stevens. Big margin, 64 points. In excess of 10 goals now. The lead for the Western Bulldogs. And Nick Stevens has the ball about 65 metres from goal. Goes in short and finds Brewer. Gee, Michael Wilson and Braden Lyle, I think you mentioned earlier, Kevin, about their stats in the first half and then their stats in the third quarter. They have just drifted right out of this game. Shane Brewer's kick is very good for length, not quite the accuracy, scores a behind.
Well, the Bulldogs midfielders, you can see when they break from that midfield with Luke Darcy doing so well since half-time, they've been very, very good. Likes of Jose Ramiro, they keep running with the ball all the time.
63 points the margin. The Hudson fist accommodates Johnson, who goes back to him. Now he's got Winmar.
Hudson terrific in that passage of play.
Yep. Well, Winmar finds Southern. He's got to go on with it now, Danny, because you gave away the hand pass signal into half forward. The two number 3s clash, Brewer and Grant. Brown gives it away. Here's an opportunity for Kolyanov. Tumbles a punt in towards goal. He's away to the left. Steve Kolyanov.
Kevin, what do you think the Bulldogs have improved from last year? You think players like Darcy and Powell have added a lot of bite to the side?
Well, Luke Darcy certainly has been a big improver. He's growing in stature. And Stephen Powell has had a very, very good season.
Danny Southern back in the side?
Well, Danny Southern has missed the last couple of finals campaigns, as has Paul Dimatina. So they're generally in their best side when they're up and firing. So there's a couple of bonuses for them.
Chance now for Port to go forward through James. Gives it off towards Lyle. Solidly met, but not before he gives it to Franco. Great smother. Works okay for Schofield, however, but not the kick.
If there's one criticism of Paul Dimatina, it's perhaps just his ability to kick the ball accurately or with penetration, quick penetration.
Well, here they go again. And again, it's going to be chopped off. The Brown hand pass a little loose. Alvy's equal to the task, though. Gives it off to Cook in turn away to Rowan Smith. He breaks free and he gives it away. An opportunity now for Brown as he races through the middle. 51 metres out. Floating punt into full forward. Chopped off by Stuart Dew on the last line of defence.
No thought whatsoever of Nathan Brown giving that off. Brewer in towards the centre. Kingsley over the top. They keep possession of the ball. This is Lyle. Gee whiz, interestingly, Braden Lyle in the second half has had just 2 kicks and 2 hand passes. Nick Stevens, short. Eagleton, a chance to kick a belated goal for Port Adelaide, and he has converted his kick 3. 3 goals to Nathan Eagleton. Port get their 10th, but they still trail by 58 points.
Well, this has just been a great effort by the Western Bulldogs since half-time, particularly in this last quarter. We said earlier on there's a lot of sides who can match it with the Bulldogs for a while, but they're such a persistent side. They keep running hard, they have a great midfield, they have hard workers across half-back, and they've always got a number of goal kickers.
So the scoreboard indicating with just under 9 minutes left in this game, big lead for the Western Bulldogs, and Darcy still contesting and going after the ball. Not able to keep control of it as far as the Bulldogs were concerned, but they've got numbers back there at half-back. Dimatina in trouble there was Contessa. Franco, now there's been a tripping infringement, and the free kick will go to Franco. Franco kicks the ball in towards half-forward. Good lead and a good mark is taken there by Bowen Lockwood. It's the second time in the second half that this young fellow has provided a good long lead, and he was honoured by it, and he has kicked accurately for another goal to Port Adelaide. 3 goals to Bowen Lockwood, so his efforts up on the forward line have been rewarded. 3 goals against his name, but it's a miserable looking scoreboard if you're a fan of Port Adelaide.
Well, they've got 5 individual goal kickers, Port Adelaide. Western Bulldogs have had 12. But he's a fine young player, and the 3 goals also to Nathan Eagleton, so a couple of their young stars doing well.
Under 8 minutes remaining. 52 points, the margin. The Power continuing to try and close the gap. Go down towards Croft, who come charging out his left Lockwood. He says, I'm heading out of here, but Lockwood gives chase. Won't get him as he gives it to Rowan Smith. Spears a pass to Contessa. They're setting it up here. Brown's on the outer side, and he's alone. Will he give thought to this kick? He goes from 49. It's a long bomb, and it sails over the back. It was slightly away to the right.
Once again, Nathan Brown, no thought about giving it off.
Let's go for home. 20 goals, 11. Plays 11-12. Steve Paxman. Going to be very interesting to see how Port reacts to this for next week in their finals campaign. Schofield. Well, Paxman slipped and he could have caught one in the back. And he's going to get a free kick.
Gee, that was sloppy, wasn't it? That attempt to clear from a behind.
Stevens on the outer side. He's down to centre wing. Looks up towards half forward. There was also a push going against Daniels. Smith to take it. He's had a grand day, Rowan Smith. 23 kicks, 6 hand passes, 9 marks. Dimatina tries to get a little toe poke away. He's not successful. And we've got a ball up on the outer side. Johnson has been very good today. 17 kicks, 9 hand passes, 7 marks. And they're off again. Montgomery might start something here for Smith in the middle. Powell's running and he's caught. Beautiful tackle. Roger James, a vice-like grip. Takes the free kick. Danny Southern sets himself at the back to spoil. It's effective. Here comes Brown again. Off to Darcy. Floats it wider for Smith. It sits okay. He goes to the outer side. Alvey looks up towards Grant on half forward and he takes the mark. Little too easy now for the Bulldogs. Grant goes short. That's okay. He finds Collier. He's booted to Kolyunov. And he's now added a further behind to that. Came into this game with just the one behind to his name.
Just looking at the ladder, Sydney wins tomorrow over Hawthorn. That'll put Port Adelaide in 8th spot.
And they will play Essendon.
They'll play the mighty Bombers. 1 plays 8.
Who can't be displaced from top spot. Frank Gubber's clear. And that will be a huge challenge for the Power. Bow sneaks away from Rowan Smith. Too wide and a throw in on right half forward.
Just a young man in this AFL caper, Matthew Bode. He's done enough in his few appearances to suggest that with a little bit more physical strength, he can play quite a few more games for Port Adelaide. Scoreboard in the background there, showing you that the Western Bulldogs lead by a neat 9 goals. Rowan Smith having his 24th kick for the match, marked by Darren Mead. Mead swings around onto his right, kicks into the centre where Daniels is marked. Daniels awaited due in towards half forward, punched away. At the fall of the ball is Winmar. Winmar's kick out wide. Mark is taken by Johnson, who must figure prominently as far as the best and fairest is concerned at the Bulldogs this year. A torpedo punt kick has hit the chest of Paul Hudson. Don't often see that, but you often see that. Precision kicking by Paul Hudson. Elvey across the full forward line. Mead on James Cook. Cook close to the boundary line. The ball spills. That's out of his grasp.
A free kick will be. You can't do that once the ball goes over the line, so they'll pay a free kick against.
Look at that stare.
James Cook just obviously doesn't understand the rules. Once the ball goes over, you see, you're not allowed to do this, you see. That's a free kick. James doesn't know the rules. He's upset.
Diggity.
I mean, you can only suggest he doesn't know the rules. hence the fact that he's going crook at the umpire.
Well, I suppose if you did a quick analysis and asked a lot of the players the questions about the rules, there'd be a few nonplussed looks, I guess.
Well, you should know that one because that just might cost you a game.
Well, that's right. It's a pretty obvious in this day and age. Darcy, who's knocked up.
Might kick a goal, Danny.
Danny Southern goes for goal, kicks across the full forward line. Cook couldn't take the mark. Well done.
Hudson.
Gee, that was alert, wasn't it, Paul Hudson? 5 goals to Paul Hudson, and he even collected the rebounded ball off the fence. Watch this. 5 goals to Paul Hudson, and Luke Darcy giving the handball to Danny Southern.
And there's Danny just unloads this to the goal square. This is wonderful crumbing here. You can see Hudson. There's great presence of mind, popped it through. 5 goals.
Western Bulldogs 21 goals 12. Lead Port Adelaide 11 goals 12. 3 3/4 minutes left. 3 3/4 minutes left in the game. The Bulldogs 21-12. Lead Port Adelaide 11-12.
And Rowan Smith again picks up another possession as he goes to the outer side, and Powell, who gives it off to Croft, he looks wider towards centre wing. This is a good tune-up for the Doggies for next week. Alvey, Terry Wallace is going to be embarrassed by riches as far as players are concerned. He'll have Scotty Wine to come back. He will hopefully have Simon Garlick to come back. Matthew Dent knocking on the door, players like that as well. And the boys that have come in today have certainly done the job. Stuart Dew wanting to swing around onto that left foot. Does so. Comes in towards the middle, but that's a disappointing kick. It's chopped off by Montgomery. Montgomery with under 3 minutes remaining. Comes towards Johnson. Gee, he's knocked up getting kicks too.
Montgomery's got a leisurely run.
He loves a goal. Sneaks it in towards the right forward pocket, and it's taken over.
Sorry, Sandy. I was just going to say Brett Montgomery has had a leisurely run around this park this afternoon too. 16 and 12 with 9 marks.
Yeah.
Well, they've had so many players in the second half. I mean, they have dominated the game. It's virtually been a practice run for the Bulldogs, just lifting their confidence. It's a very tight game in the first half, but Mark Williams will be pretty disappointed since half-time because the Bulldogs have just had so many winners all over the paddock.
Free kick to Daniels, gives it to Dew. Running out now is Stevens. He's on half-back, tries to draw the player, then bounces his way past Winmore. Murray's had 3. Penetrating hand pass even further afield towards Bode. He's within scoring distance almost. Pops another one over the top. It's going to make it hard now. Croft is there for the Dogs, and he defends. Away he comes. There's just a couple of dogs here. A little kennel with Dimatina and Brown together. Goes inboard. That's going to be okay too. Contessa looks in towards half board. A floating putt kick. Oh, and Mead comes over the top and takes a big mark.
Well, Darren Mead, he's had his hands full, hasn't he? The ball has been coming down with a lot of speed and a lot of precision over most of the day. Just 11 goals kicked in the first half, 7 to Footscray, 7 to the Bulldogs, and 4 to Port Adelaide in the first half. Eagleton goes forward, knocked away there by Bowen Lockwood. But since half-time, the Bulldogs have added 14 goals to Port Adelaide's 7. So 21 goals kicked in the second half so far compared to 11 in the first half. Bulldogs added 8 in the third term. Straight 10-goal margin. Scotty West ducks his head, works okay. Stephen Powell across that full-back line to Ellis, in turn to Brown. Powell running, just demanded the ball back. Now West gives away a little bit of ground, goes back to Ellis. Ellis into the centre. Dimatina wide. He's got $1 million down here. And one of those million is Steve Collinghute. He wouldn't mind adding to his 2 goals that he's already kicked. On this occasion, he gives it off to Montgomery. Montgomery in front of the George H. Harris stand here.
And look at Nicky Winmar by himself.
And is Winmar demanding? Is he over the back of the pack.
It's just so many loose players.
Well, that's the piece of play that Mark Williams would be disappointed with. There's only 18 out there in Bulldog jumpers, so if everyone was accountable for their opponent, there shouldn't be as many loose players. But Montgomery will go for goal, and nearly the mark taken down there, but not to the front of the pack. Chris Grant is all over his opponent in the goal square as a behind has been rushed to the Bulldogs, just limping slightly as he got up from that marking contest. He looks okay, and he's very important, Chris Grant, to the Bulldogs over the next 3 to 4 weeks if they're to keep going.
Paxman to Kingsley. The last rights as far as Port are concerned. Johnson, this could be a final nail in the coffin. Luke Darcy, what can he do? He's had such a grand day, and he's kept it off with a goal on the siren. Well done, Luke Darcy. His first for the day, and the Doggies are fine-tuning themselves for another finals campaign. Big winners here today over Port Adelaide. 22 goals, 13 to the Power, 11 goals, 12. Great win indeed. Dipper is down there on that half-forward line at the moment.
Yes, I've got Brad Johnson with me. Well, first, congratulations on a magnificent win by the boys today. The one they expected, but also moving to the finals is terrific.
Yeah, we've got some good form going in the finals now, Dipper, and it's the last game at Optus Oval, so we're moving to Colonial next year, so we wanted to give the fans a good send-off, and we did that today.
A good mate of yours, Roman Smith, today played a terrific game of football.
Yeah, plenty of run-off half-back, set up a lot of goals, so it was good to have him back in some good form.
Ian Robertson, one of my fellow commentators, asked a question: what does it do, a win like this for a side like yourself, going to the finals?
Oh, it just gives you a bit more confidence, I suppose, Dipper, and we've got our run-on game going this week, so hopefully we can take that into next week's final, whatever day we play.
It's always great to see you play, Brad. The boys are waiting for you. Well done, mate.
Thanks, Dipper.
He's wrapped, and this is nice to see. The boys cheering off Nicky Winmar as he plays his 250th game and becomes the first Aboriginal to do so. Fine achievement. It hasn't always been a smooth road for Nicky in the world of football, but he's overcome a few rough passages, played a pretty good game today, booted 4 goals, great second quarter when he booted 3.
Well, maybe he'll get his lifelong ambition of playing in a premiership side with the Bulldogs. Although the Bulldogs haven't won one since 1954, but maybe this could be the year of the Bulldogs.
We'll take a break. The Dogs home by